What up, Whiskey Ginger fans? Welcome back to the show. If it's your first time joining the show, welcome to the show. We got a banger of a guest today. It's unbelievable. DANA FRIGGIN. So excited to have DANA on the show. What a brilliant mind, a great comedian, wonderful actor, genuinely such a great person as well. I was honored to sit down and talk with DANA on the show. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you dig it. Leave a comment down below for the algorithm so we can spread this thing around on the interwebs. It means a lot to me to keep this Whisk Ginge train moving. We've been at it for 5 years now, and I'm going to keep it going for as long as I can, as long as you guys push it around, like it, subscribe it, tell a friend, share the video, do ya thing. Speaking of showing love to you guys, I'm going to be back out on the road with Bobby Lee in the fall. For the Bad Friends Pod. Now, we're not doing the podcast. A lot of people ask. We're not doing a podcast. We do live stand-up, and we also do bits from the show, which are interactive with the audience, but there is no podcast. It's a bunch of stand-up and a bunch of bits. It's very fun. You're not going to be sitting there watching us just talking to the microphones. We're going to be making you laugh, baby. Come see us. Tickets are at badfriendspod.com, badfriendspod.com. We're going everywhere. Chicago, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Madison, Rochester, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Denver, DC, a bunch. Come see us. Go to badfriendspod.com, badfriendspod.com for those tickets. Enough rambling from me. Let's go to the episode.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You're that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Are all those rolling on all these? All right, here. Hey, Joe. Joe's our editor. Dana, say hi to Joe in that camera right there, right in front of
Joe
you.
is here?
No, Joe is in Boston. He's
What's
sitting.
up, Joe?
He's sitting in one of his. He's a real estate mogul in Boston. He owns 50 buildings in Boston.
God, and you...
He's a billionaire. This guy. He's a
seriously a billionaire.
No,
He's not. I was you. Everyone's rich now. Don't get. Isn't everyone rich?
Everybody's
Kinda.
rich.
That's why the people who aren't rich are really angry.
They're really mad right now.
I have such angry people around me.
Well, stop talking to everybody. Just be alone. Sit alone in your little abode, happy with your family. And
Yes.
Just be happy. Dana, just be happy for once.
I love this whole movement, which is still new. Here's the list that is in my head.
Yeah.
Bobby Lee.
Yeah.
Andrew. Tim Dillon.
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
Tom Segura.
Yeah.
Bert Kreischer. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like a bunch more. But those are the ones that are like, okay.
Podcast guys.
Well, they're the guys who didn't go the traditional way.
Yeah.
You did a Showtime special, corporate special.
I
You
did.
probably next time would produce it yourself, put it on YouTube.
I
maybe?
did. I did a Netflix one that came out this year at the
okay.
beginning of the year.
What was that called?
Cheeseburger. Thanks for watching. I need to introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whiskey Ginger. My guest today is one of my favorite people on earth. I say that for all my guests, but I mean it once again today. It is a very special day for me. This means a lot, and I'll get into it.
I come
it's
in peace.
DANA FRIGGIN
I
who
come
comes in peace.
And I come from the 80s.
You come from the 80s and you come in peace.
Yes. so
Cheers.
That's why this was taken.
Look me in the face
Yes.
and cheers me slow. Real slow.
Is this a
No, just
thing?
for you, I like
All
it
right.
slow. There. Okay, very good. Now a little sip. What do you think?
I think it's good.
You think it's good?
And I'm not a whiskey drinker. But I think the ice helps mix drinks.
It cools it down a little bit for you.
Yeah. Like my uncle used to say, his Uncle Rock. And
His name was Rock?
Uncle Rock.
Uncle Rock.
And he had a lot of charisma. He was a University of Montana basketball coach. And he'd come around, he's like, you want a Coke or you want a Super Coke? You want a Coke or a Super Coke? I'll take a Super Coke.
Yeah.
And that just meant a tall glass all the way to the brim with ice, and then you pour the Coke over it. Now you got a Super Coke.
Super Coke.
You know when you put a name on something, then kids go crazy.
Super Coke. Well,
Super Coke.
Of course I want a
regular
Super Coke.
But anyway, Andrew, if I could call you that. Has anyone ever called you Andy and not got punched?
Let's not try it today on camera, Dana. No, Andy was a name they give you. I was like
You don't,
assaulted
you don't
with
seem
it.
like an Andy.
But most people just call me Santino because it's my last name. Most people don't
Santino.
say Andrew. They say if I see people on the street and it's a fan, they always say Santino. as if they're old friends of mine.
I think that does have a Sopranos kind of gangstery.
Santino.
Hey, Santino's coming.
look.
Hey, Andy's coming by. No, I was Santino. Hey guys, what's up? Santino here. Yeah, you
Santino's
could just
coming.
be Santino. Drop the Andy.
I usually
do like
am.
a
Most
Cher,
people do
Sting,
that.
Santino.
Yeah. Sheriff Sting Santino, is that
Yeah.
my...
So you off the grid rebel motherfuckers
Yeah, we are.
making your own ecosystem outside of NBC, ABC,
Yeah.
and do your little specials.
Yeah.
But probably, Shane did his on YouTube.
Yeah.
And now he's playing. They go from
Huge theaters.
You always hear the trajectory of a comedian. We interviewed him a year ago, Spade and I.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they want me to do theaters, and then it's theaters. And then I guess it's like sheds or basketball courts, and then it's arenas,
Right. There is something in between
one more.
arenas. What's top of that?
stadiums.
Yeah, stadiums. is-
Right.
yeah.
Next time we talked to Chris Rock, because he had it was before the Will Smith thing, and he graduated him and Chappelle to stadiums, which I think is in Europe is like 80.
That's insane.
So I called him Stadium Chris.
Oh, he's Stadium Chris now?
Well, I called him Stadium Chris because stadiums is stadiums, man.
What was the Will Smith thing you were talking about? What happened?
Something.
Just a dispute?
How to have a new angle on that whole thing? Oh man.
I think it's somebody said online that there was a lawsuit and he won a lawsuit. That
Chris
Will Smith
Will Smith. Oh, about the special?
No, about the slap.
Oh, the
that,
slap.
That he sued him and he won. Is that true? That he sued him and won? No. Yeah,
That-
winning
that would
40
have to-
million. Hey, 40. No, that's not true. That's not real. That's the internet. Will Smith finally
you'd think
speaks
that
now.
Chris could have. He could have said, he'd be in court going, "What? What'd you say?"
Yeah.
Hearing loss.
What was that? It was this side of my. It was the other side. The judge
Right.
was like, wasn't it the other side? It transferred over when it hit so hard. It came out.
One of the great spectacles of modern global media was that.
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, and
I think
Chris
we need
waited.
more violence at award shows.
Oh my God! I mean, the brilliant. Maybe it was just not planned, but if someone knew secretly there was a war going on between those two guys, and Jaden was there, and they go, "Hey, should we put in make the stage a little higher and put the seats back in case anyone got a hot head because it was like a beeline."
It was perfect.
A flat, perfect 35-foot beeline. Now, in the old Oscars, 70s, you would have had John Wayne stand up. Nicholson would have tackled you. You would have had to go over. It never would have happened, is my point.
Wouldn't have been so convenient.
That could trend.
Is this a QAnon theory that we're going to get into?
I just want to be trending when I'm done with this. The
The
worst thing I
Oscars-
can be is old and boring.
You're not old or boring.
Thank you.
You're a legend.
Santino,
I have
listen.
so much. I have so many things to tell you that I don't want to get too complimentary because your ego, as everybody knows, is way too big already.
No.
Everyone in Hollywood talks about it.
What I do on podcasts, it's a real. I think it's a privilege to be able to say nice things to people.
All right, I'm going to say it right now.
But as long as they're sincere, I mean, everything I say, I mean. When I say to Steve Martin, you were such an influence with me when you did Excuse Me, because it was
Yeah.
just a rhythm, and I definitely did a bit based on that. That was just fun to say.
Well, you influenced me to a degree I don't know if I could tell you
Well,
without
I've
it sounding
I've
a little.
seen some of your stuff, and I do see.
I
yeah.
feel you. Because,
You're not a thief. You're just
no,
influenced.
but I borrow from you.
No, borrow from me if you should.
I have a
course.
church guy bit, and that one. People,
the church guy bit.
People go, is that like church lady? I'm like,
Okay,
totally
but what was
different.
the compliment part? I probably talked over my own compliment. I talked over my own compliment.
Well, I'll say this: beyond the fact that I
Beyonce
grew up,
fact.
Beyonce's fact is
Did you have any more of these?
yeah.
I'm fine.
Beyond the fact that I grew up like
You don't
falling in
really-
love with you,
Yes.
over and over and over again through SNL. But then,
But give me the numbers.
what bonded
though.
us?
Okay.
What bonded my love for you comedically was
Okay.
Wayne's World. My mother and I would watch Wayne's World so much that
Yeah.
now, to this day, if she calls me sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
I'll go, "What's going on?" And she'll go, "She's okay." She'll say that to me over the phone. And it's just those
Yeah.
things like laid in my brain my whole life. It was like that movie, and I mean, there's a million of them like that, but that movie in
Well,
particular.
I didn't have any other movie like that because that was the only movie that I got to write my
Character.
stuff.
Yeah.
Penelope Spheris would say, "What are you going to do here?" What if Garth was going to have a moment, and then her only direction was, "Could you do it 10 seconds faster?"
Just
So,
quicker.
Just, if you're going to spew into this. I mean, I was able to get the script, respectively wind in Garth's stuff,
Yeah.
knowing it was Wayne's World. And you know, here's an example of how things can go wrong, how money can be the enemy of comedy.
Yeah.
So on the first one, we're just, put us on the AM pacer. We're at the airport, you know. Did you ever get attracted to Bugs Bunny or whatever he said? I don't know. She's a babe. She could be Abraham Lincoln. We shoot it in 45 minutes. We throw it away. Mike gets the giggles. We keep it in there like as if he's really laughing at Garth. The second movie with the budget, it's like a 4-day shoot. There's like 9 cameras, 3 different, you know, just...
It's funny you say that because I wanted to talk to you about that scene.
Yeah.
I rewind that. I will watch that scene on YouTube because it makes me laugh every time. It gives me this feeling that I know exactly what happened with you guys. Whenever I've been on set and improv, I don't know if that line, if he didn't know that was coming, but he sure as fuck didn't look like it. Because when you said, "Did you ever find him attractive?" I've repeated it so much I can imitate his the way he goes, "No." No, the way he hits it the second time makes me think he had no clue it was coming. And then that's when you go, neither did I. I can hear him laughing. They left in the laugh in the audio.
Yes.
Where he's laughing through the take.
Yes.
And it was deliberate, right? You guys went over it and you were probably like, leave it in, leave it in, leave it in.
Penelope Spheres, I give her credit. She let us, like, if you're into, like, folklore or whatever.
Yeah,
so
we are.
The day, okay, so I was going to do he goes for the Dream Girl with the Foxy Lady. So I was going to do What's New Pussycat. But Steve Martin, they go, oh, he just did that in Father of the Bride. So, which is fine. So then I went to that. And then it was 21 hours on the set. You know, it's so heroic. We're almost dead. We're the greatest film crew ever. So I'm as tired as I've ever been in my life. And there was a lot of out of focus because the crew was literally shot. There were flags in the thing.
Right.
So then it was going to be bounced after the first preview. It just was cut to pieces. It didn't work at all. But to her credit, she let me go in there and reformulate it and made it palatable, you know.
But were you saying like they couldn't rack focus quick enough and they didn't have time to do another take? So you were like, whatever, it's blurry, who cares?
It was 21st hour, and they think they got it, but it was just at the end of the night. I'd been there since 6 a.m., and there was just a lot of technical issues, and, you know, so.
At Stan Mikita's.
Stan Mikita?
At Stan Mikita's.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the emotional underpinning of that movie. I want to be Garth. I want to, and who doesn't want to be Wayne and Garth? They live with their parents. They have an AMC Pacer. They just cruise around. They don't really have anything.
Well, they go to Gasworks every night if they can go.
And they're the happiest people in the town.
Yeah.
Because they're ritualizing everything, you know, and the freakily satisfying syncopation of movement when the heads went. And the reason that landed, because people have asked me about it. So because it wasn't, here's a heavy metal song, and we'll start doing that. We meandered way off into this operatic thing. No, but just, the song is completely deconstructed. We're way over, way away. And then in syncopation with that note. It's very potent, even though it's very simple.
No, but it worked so perfecally. It was like every time I saw that, it made that song mean something to me, because when I was a kid, it didn't really. That wasn't, Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't really, my generation didn't really grasp.
Yeah.
That was like a thing that we were like, I know that song, but it wasn't as iconic until that. That movie kind of like stamped it for my generation.
Yes. I wasn't as into that song as some of their other stuff, but I was aware of them. But then later on you go, that, you know, Queen was pretty
It was
fucking
pretty,
great.
I mean, Fat Bottom Girls was more my speed when I was a kid.
Yeah. But Another One Bites the Dust. I mean, just We Are the Champions, the emotion of it and the melody of it is like no one's come up with a better anthem for someone who's just won a world championship. We are, you know what I mean? It's so...
And what were they referring to?
I don't know.
When you think of, what was Queen even talking about?
I think it's just like in life.
We
you
just
know?
beat everybody at everything?
Everyone uses that now, man. He's winning. Oh, how's Bobby Lee? Oh, he's winning, Andrew.
Oh, he's winning hard.
They're winning hard.
Are you winning hard
Winning
right
all
now?
the time. I don't know when that came in.
He's winning hard.
Winning hard.
Or take an L. You know you about taking an L?
Now I'm in the long arc of life, so I'm kind of like, I have a short runway. I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So now I'm kind of like, I'm playing with house money. I don't really, what can happen to me a little bit, you know what I mean?
Well, I can't wait to see that he sets himself up. Dana Carvey canceled right after saying, what could happen to me? We cut away.
Oh, I could get canceled. I'm constantly editing myself, or, you know. So, I mean, Spade and I's podcast is not incendiary. It's kind of sweet and silly.
Well, you two are both very sweet. You have a similar demeanor. I don't know you at all. I've just met you, and I know David in the way that Spade is clever and funny and very small. That's not a shot at him. That's not a shot.
Hey,
but
buddy.
he's small in his comedy world of like he knows how to
Yeah.
take something. You know, a lot
Yeah.
of guys of his generation did that. I think too. Like Norm was so good at taking something really minutia,
Yeah.
and then like just you like rolling back the onion. You're like, holy shit. Dave does the exact same thing, and you are bigger personality, but your comedy also comes from something. The core of it's really, really small.
I
too.
like nonsensical things. That's where my brain would go to most happily than jokes.
Yeah.
Spade is great. He goes to the store, something happens, or the valet guy doesn't give him the ticket, and then he's got 4 minutes
On
of
that.
self-deprecating, finely tuned, funny stand-up.
Yeah.
The thing about Norm, because sometimes you get on those YouTube shorts, and so
Yeah.
it feeds you what you're doing. So Norm, in one of them, he just has this big, happy Norm face. Like he's really smiling and so joyous as he does the phallus things. He's a one-off. I mean, there's only one.
he was
there only
one-on-one.
was one Norm.
Tell me, was there any sketches or characters that you wrote for the show that never made it, that that to this day you're like, God, why wouldn't that would have been? I loved it so much it never went through.
Probably not.
No, nothing.
No.
Like they were like Norm. I've told this story before, but Norm I met when I was 22 years old at a coffee shop here in LA, and he sat with me and a friend and basically just chatted because we were writing sketches and writing bits, and he just chatted with us and he
Yeah.
told us a story about how him and Smigel wrote.
Works or something?
No. Sorry, for Tracy they wrote Brian Fellows, and he
yeah.
talked about like the impetus of and it fit.
Yeah.
And Lauren hated the sketch, like he hated it, but
Yeah.
it killed so hard they finally put it in.
Yeah.
But he said he did that kind of out of spite because they had pitched a bunch of stuff, I guess, and Lauren was like, I don't like it. And then he was like, all right, we'll do it during the table and we'll see how much everybody hates it. So they tried to make
Right.
it bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Him and Smigel were kind of, giving him the finger through the script. Like, okay, you don't like it? Then here. But you didn't have
Yeah.
anything that you wrote that you really...
My whole story on there was just unique because I'd never done sketch comedy, just stand up.
Yeah.
And then I get on the show after not trying. I followed Kennison at the store at midnight.
Yeah.
I mean, I bombed so hard. It was just.
Well, after him, it must have been impossible. Because
Yeah.
his energy level...
Yeah.
Beyond the fact... No, but...
Prime Kennison, and now welcome center of camera. There wasn't even an MC. It was just just screaming at peak Kennison, maybe the best to ever do it in his prime. And then here's Dana Flarfo. They never got my name right. And I go, the church ladies are like this, and so just death. So when I get on SNL, freakily, because I got a manager who knew Lauren and who knew, Well, do you know the story? How I got on SNL?
No.
Oh, well, I'd auditioned at the Comedy Store twice and bombed. I never was good at that room because then you go out in the suburbs, Ice House, and you levitate the room. What I call levitate. I don't know what you guys say when it's just crushing.
When you kill.
And then you come in with your best joke at the Improv, and just swing and a miss. So. Lauren was coming around again. The 85 had a rough season. They fired everybody but Lovitz and Nora Dunn or whatever. And so he'll come see you. So I go, okay, I can't do it at the Improv at the Comedy Store. So there was a 100-seater called Igby's in the West Side.
Igby's.
100-seater, low ceiling, hot club, civilian crowd. Rosie O'Donnell, who I'd never met. Yeah, you can get a picture of it.
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell was headlining. She
Yeah.
agreed to have me come in. I was going to bring Lorne Michaels. So that was it. I'd done 10 years of stand-up. Lauren's going to come see me. So I'm standing off to the side, and Lauren walks in. I'm like, oh, shit, that's Lorne Michaels. And then the head of the network walks in, Brandon Tartikoff. I go, fuck, it's the head of NBC. And then Cher walked in. What? She was just hanging with him.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. How breathe. You can do Elvis and get a little Cher in there. So I did well enough, and that's how I got the show, basically.
Yeah. But did Lauren and you like immediately have I feel like, again, not knowing you, I feel like you probably bonded quick over there and was quick to get in. A lot of people have these political struggles when they get over there. Like you hear so many of my friends are on the show and have been on the show.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of pain of the political dance. And some people just click right away and some people, it's just a grind. Like, did you click with him right away and he...
Yeah, I mean, he said, come out to Long... So I'll do the impression.
Do it.
Come out to Long Island, and stay for a while. And I didn't know, so I went out in August. I was playing a pizza parlor in Martinez, like a 20-seater in July. Then I auditioned, and then now I'm at Lorne Michaels' house.
Just staying with him.
Just staying with Lorne, and I looked around, and the cast wasn't there. It was just A. Whitney Brown was a writer. He was there, and it was just Lorne and me. And I'd never been around a rich person. Like, he had a refrigerator that had just 100 Amstel lights on one side and then Pellegrinos on the other side.
That was his fridge.
So he's so intimidating, but also charming. But Chevy Chase came around, said he liked my audition tape. And then, you know, I think I've told this so many times, but then Paul McCartney and Lynn McCartney would come over each night and hang out. You know?
That's so absurd.
I know.
Did you ever feel, when the McCartneys came and hung for the first time, were you like trying really hard to not like make a scene? And because you're like, I don't want them to think I'm something. I just want to like kind of blend in.
Totally trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
For some reason, I made a good move, and I don't know why. But I knew that, you know, who wrote Twist and Shout? You know, I didn't want to go Beatles. So there was an album, his Tug of War. So I was very nervous, but I finally, there's only 5 of us there, and I go, when you wrote the chorus for A Tug of War, the title song, I go, I said, when you said, someday we'll stand up on the mountain with our flag unfurled, but it won't be soon enough for me, what were you thinking of? It was over at that point. I was thinking of a big old flag, you know, wondering, you know, as a symbol of where we're going. So it was such a specific compliment.
Yeah.
People always ask me, what do I say to someone? I say, find the most obtuse thing they've done, like say one of your specials.
Yeah.
Just this obscure one line.
And
so
suck 'em
after
in.
that, they were kind of friendly. And then Paul had a song, a CD of a song he just did in New York and wanted to play it for us.
Oh, God.
Around, so Chevy Chase, Lorne Michaels, Linda, Paul, and I'm here next to Paul. So he's going to put the song on. You know, I mean, again, I was just outer space. I was just a club comic, you know,
Yeah.
a week before.
How old were you then?
31.
31.
Yeah. So then he leaned in, and I'll never forget it, and it's direct quote, and I'll sound it just like he did. As it starts, he says to me, his new confidant, sometimes when you're writing, you try so hard to live up to whatever, you end up ruining the fucker. And then the song starts. And he's looking at me, you know.
Do you feel like when you listen to music that somebody, like I've had musician friends that play music for me.
Yeah.
It's hard to look at them and listen because you have to be like, yeah. You can't really feel it because you're afraid of making a face. It's almost like
Right.
It's almost like watching someone shit with them. You can't do it because you're like, I don't want them to see me
No, you don't want-
reacting to this. Because even if I do one
Yeah.
little like of that, they're like, what is that? What do you not? You didn't like the?
I know.
the turn.
It's really hard. Sometimes you'll get a compliment and someone will change the word, like you come off stage and they go that was really good. You know, they had great and then it faded out. You know, I don't know, how needy are you when you or not needy? You come off, you do a set, you have
I
a good
leave.
moment, you just go straight out.
I
You
leave
don't-
immediately.
You don't want anyone to go,
No.
good set.
No. The anxiety for me is like the moment I walk off stage, I like, I'm
Hey,
gone.
that was great.
gone. I'm already gone. I'm in my car. I can't even hear you say
What's
that.
the compliment that would make you believe you had a hot set?
Well, what was good, Lewis Black actually said to me, we just did a show together on the Kreischer thing, and it meant a lot. Lewis, as I walked away, I said, I just want to tell you it's great to meet you. I've been a fan for a long time. And he grabbed my arm and was just like, that janitor bit, that is
There
a
you go.
good bit.
Because it was specific.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
like huge
Yeah.
to me. Or even something like a throwaway, like Colin Quinn or those guys. Like when I walked off stage at the Cellar, we were spending some time in New York, and he's like, funny bits, Santino. It's small from
Yeah.
him, and he may never remember it.
Right.
But those things sink me. That I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God. A million fans. That's the funniest. And you're like, okay, but thank you. But when
Yeah.
somebody says something super small, there's something about it that like
Yeah.
it gets you good. But I don't
it's-
want to hear it from friends because it makes me anxious. When friends, like when you walk off, it's just, I got to go.
It's more, if it's your friends, it's more like that bit's really working, now.
That's good, right.
I think your setup, that one line kind of turned it, all
Are you
that
still
technical stuff.
wanting to continue stand up?
I would. I'm spread so thin. I don't know how to really be a nightclub comic consistently and then do the podcast, and then they've got us doing a production company and then more podcasts, and I don't know. I mean,
You're doing
you could do it at
everything.
your age. I mean, how many nights do you go on the road?
You know, it depends. I don't know. It depends on like what I'm working on right now. Bobby and I were touring. Now we're going to tour again in the fall because the success of it was kind of pretty great. And then, you know, I'm building a new hour, so I'm gonna go back out to clubs again to rebuild the hour. But here in town, you know, 3 nights a week, I still do it if I can, 3 or 4 nights a week.
And what's the?
Well, the store is my home.
Yeah,
I started there.
Big room.
Yeah.
What was the thing about you with stand-up at this point? Because it'd be like, are you trying to sort of make it funnier or make it more interesting for yourself? I mean, there's a point because you've sort of mastered. You're a headliner. You've done specials. You're like there.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, the new special. Is it more of the same? Are you going to try? Some people try to go a little more real or personal. Some people, you know,
I think I just want to take
none of it.
I want to take more time on a subject matter and then really get into it. I feel like a lot of times in the past, I would do a great joke about something and then move on to a great joke about something, move on to a great joke. I'm trying a little bit harder now to like have a deeper through line into something. I feel like it's a bigger payoff for me to really see how far I can dig into one thing.
And how much do you use your ear? Because you do accents, you do impressions.
I try to, yeah. But I mean, I fade in and out of like getting scared of doing them. You're so natural.
Really? Well, I was terrified for the first 3 years when I was in college to do a character.
But you base it on everyone you know, right? Like
The characters?
yeah, like yours
Pretty
are
much.
typically based on humans, not just famous people, but humans you know.
Yeah, and then I like, because like with Biden now, which is interesting enough what a hot oven it was in 2020. And now it's really turned where, I mean, I've distilled it. I mean, I'm building it because now I'm walking and I do that if he was the old man in the village with a long beard and a cane, he'd be fine. What's the people? So this is the So now that sound I'm making right now has become, it builds to that.
Yeah.
But when there's some people walking, it's going, so it's there. That's starting to kill.
That's because of what's happening societally. Well, it's also like what you did with Bush kind of did this great trick where even people that hated Bush fell in love with him because of it. It's almost like you twisted it back. And I would say maybe that's the opposite with Biden, where even people that like really loved Biden that are either upset or not happy with, you know, what's going on, they may take that as almost like people would be like, oh, do you like him or not like him?
I know. It's a little weird because you're just trying to find the line. I mean, if I abstract it, if you're coming off if you're a teacher, it's different. If your vibe is, I have a political agenda and I'm going to work it through this, which is fine. Great.
Sure.
You know, Mort Saw was a friend of his, you know, political comedy. For me, because those, you know, if you did a perfect Chris Platt or, you know, the politicians are kind of the last where everyone knows them.
Yeah.
And then I just want to abstract it. I still want people, it makes me laugh really hard if I can abstract it that far. And they're taking the ride with me. That's really the sweet spot.
See, I get afraid of doing celebrity impressions. I tested for SNL. I don't even know now. Like 8 years ago.
Why would you be afraid? Like it's not accurate? Or
yeah, because my impressions or my characters were always based on humans I knew, and that was easier for me. Like when I tested,
the
I
football
did
coach or whatever.
Yeah, high school football coach.
Like what would that voice sound like?
Well, I would do Southern high school football coach down and back. Y'all go do down and back. Water ain't gonna be for you if you can't touch both lines. It was
so that's pre-Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Good.
And my dad grew up in North Carolina, so I would hear all these Southern voices.
Yeah.
And it that became like before Galifianakis did his brother,
right?
Which he eventually did on Baskets. I used to have an effeminate Southern character because my father's best friend talked exactly like this.
So why can't you do that?
Because Zach did his brother doing that on Basket. It just it's too close to him.
Right.
It just feels like someone will be like, that's Galifianakis' thing, because he would do that because he had North Carolina.
Yeah, I know.
It was too close.
It's a bit of a shame because that is like when I do Al Gore. I tell the audience afterwards. I say it's not. It has nothing to do with anything other than a Tennessee gentleman. I take umbrage, fine madam. And so my abstraction with him is that I have him be sort of a metrosexual with lotions.
Right.
And I'm molly size and I'm soft size and I'm a buttock thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh. I'm moisturized because I'm a Tennessee gentleman. So that, and I don't really care about accuracy as much. I just abstract it, you know.
Yeah,
But-
because then you give something for people to hold on to, even if it's far off. But that's why I was always impressed by like my I grew up in Chicago, and then the Harry Carey that was done really wasn't as Harry Carey is.
Right.
But now everyone's impression of Harry Carey is exactly
Yeah.
Will's. It's like,
you can't not.
but that's what's
Yeah.
so good. Like
Yeah.
almost all the characters you did, I believe those are the voices more so to me than they were in real life. Like when I would hear you do a character,
Mm-hmm.
if you put a recording of two people of the real person and your
Right.
character, I bet you I'd think that your character was the one because of
Yeah.
how often I heard it.
I think I get bored too sometimes. Part of it is just I want to abstract it because I'm kind of bored.
Yeah.
So after Ross Perot, for you older people, you know, by the end it was like, can I finish one time?
Yeah.
That was it. Can I finish one time? I turned him into James Brown. Can I finish one time? Can we go on the one? Can we go on the one? So that makes me the happiest is these abstractions.
Yeah.
You know, and since I was doing the person man. So that is that part. And then I broke the whisper into the yell, which really works.
Yeah, that
And I
works.
brought it, it's still developing. I brought it into my dad used to do that. He would whisper in a patronizing, you fucking idiot way.
Like when he was upset at you.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't talk politics with you because you don't know shit. It was really soft. And Biden's like, come on. Guess what? Guess what? I wrote the bill. Because I know how to write a bill. I wrote the bill, then the bill, and every time the bill back the butter, can't believe it's not butter. So it doesn't make any, but can't, you know. I
Yeah.
was doing Pirates of the Caribbean, but now I'm doing, it always ends with can't believe it's not butter.
When is there people that you took from like childhood that also made its way into a bunch of
Well,
characters?
Brad is Garth.
Yeah, your brother.
Yeah. We
But-
could
yeah.
call him now. Hi. This is Brad.
Is that what?
Oh yeah, he would talk like that.
And
Yeah,
he's a
totally.
genius engineer, and that's why you made Garth kind of this.
Yes, the stun
brilliant
gun. Brad told me how that would happen with the battery pack. I'd like to get Biden now, you know. So that's a thing that the whole is greater than some of the parts. Why is the cutting off of that final word? It's like a song, you know. I'd like to get Biden now.
Mm-hmm.
If he said, "I'd like to get Biden now,"
No, it doesn't work.
No, thanks. I like to play. Something about that, right?
Right.
So the minute I rolled into it and I was doing it in my stand-up, it always got a laugh.
Did you improv the what's that? It's Dan Mikita's. Was that improv when the camera flips or no? Was it
Probably not. I don't know.
I feel like that because when I saw, I just like that part of the discomfort, and you go, "What's that?" I love that the camera flips with you.
Oh, that might have been, yeah, because that sounds like just one of those lines they needed, yeah.
Yeah, that you were fucking around and you just wanted to get out of it.
Yeah.
It was so good because even inside the movie felt like Garth didn't want to do the movie. Do you know what I mean? It felt like it was so subversive. It was like, man, Garth doesn't even want to do this fucking movie.
Garth has his own lane in his own world, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny when things are put on film,
Yeah.
and then time passes, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, is this some crazy cool thing or not? But that's like, okay, what do you want to do before Mike comes in, Stan Mikita's, because he's having trouble with his girlfriend? So I just said, well, I'll play with these donuts. You know,
Yeah.
hey, get away from me, donut man. You know, it's just such a silly. It stayed in, you know. And
But those are the things you want to. I'm glad they keep those stuff.
Well, I'll give Lauren Michaels credit because a lot of times I'll get a little too esoteric, and I'm not like an engineer explaining what I'm doing. So when I had this notion that he was so threatened by Rob Lowe's character that he was going to try to kill him, but he was making a mechanical hand that would do the task, you know. And so he's trying to finish it up, but Rob Lowe comes in too soon, and the hand starts moving, and
Right.
it can't happen now, so that's when he smashes it.
Yeah.
So it's some of the previous, because a lot of the jokes are really telegraphed. There's a sexy woman, swing, you know, everything is nice and clear. And then like, what is this scene about? It sort of was lying there, you know. And there were people like, I think we got to cut the scene. And then Lauren Michaels said, it's one of those things that 20 years from now you'll see it and you'll be glad that it's there.
He's right.
You know. So
Yeah,
that was-
because that stand out to me. I never understood when I was a kid
Yeah.
what that was for.
What it
I
meant.
assumed in my mind it was Garth was bored
Right.
because there's a lot of downtime in filming.
right.
The filming the Wayne's World show for for them.
Right, so he's just backstage.
So he's
doing
like,
takes.
yeah. To me,
That
it's
could
like
be true too.
he was
Whatever
building.
your backstory is just as true as my backstory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you made it, so I don't. That's why.
I know that was my theory, but now I'm thinking, yeah, well, he does. They're on the set. They have a lot of time around the set.
Yeah, I just assumed he was building stuff, and I kind of secretly wanted it to come back
funny.
at some point where it was like Garth built a entire human being, and everyone's unimpressed. In my mind, it would have been one of those moments where like, Garth, is that a guy? And you're like,
Yeah.
just a friend.
Yeah.
And it's a full-sized robot.
Yeah, I'm calling him Bob the Robot. As long as he has a little name, he's happy.
You named him Bob? So many
Bob?
names you could have named him.
Yeah, so so that's
It connected with me so deeply because as a Chicago
Mm-hmm.
kid too, Aurora was like, we fucking know Aurora. We live.
yeah.
It was
that's
so
true.
soaked in my soul. Even though as I got older, I learned how much of that was shot in L.A. I mean, it's
They
all,
found towns that look kind of middle America.
it's Burbanky though. It feels like
Yeah,
there's
it's not really Aurora, but
Right.
you meet people from Aurora, and they're so excited to meet me because Aurora.
right. They're like, that's my town.
But yeah, it's so surreal to me because I'm such a fan of movies, and I think about Monty Python or whatever, and then to even be in that continuum in any way of a movie that people will see. But thank God they didn't smoke, drink. They didn't. It's kind of a clean movie. I mean,
I didn't.
There's
think about
only
that.
Schwing or Sphincter says what.
Which is such a great fucking line.
Sphincter says what?
What?
Yeah. So that's that. So
Yeah,
it's-
there's no drinking at the nightclub either.
No, they don't drink. They don't smoke. The Red Rope Licorice that I did, since you guys know the movie so well,
Yeah.
and the AMC Pacer, because one of my brothers was a Red Rope fanatic, and so that was
Right.
he just always eating Red Rope. So
You're like,
you
we
know.
should put that in a light instead of having it because it was like a domed ceiling.
Yeah, it was
light.
a dome ceiling and it comes down. It was just fun. I mean, with AI, could we do another one?
I would love to.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey.
Can I just be there for the remake of
You
it?
could be the new manager of Stan McKay.
What does he sound like?
What's your favorite accent to do?
Probably like a hardcore Chicago. I wish there was one. Well,
Yeah, there you
there is like a very like a
I can't do it.
rip the
Chicago.
heart out of a man
Yeah.
and you show it to him right before he dies.
Yeah, that was Ed O'Neill. Was
Well,
also,
no. Oh yeah, what's the other guy that was there at the bar with
Oh,
Ed?
yeah.
He had a Chicago accent. I can't remember that actor's name.
Bill Murray's brother, I think, who put on that. I think so.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wish there was more deep because Chicago is my favorite. Because growing up around it, it's almost like everyone has a little bit of an S lisp up top,
Yeah,
and just the deepness of it is just so.
it's very specific. That's great.
And
I
it
can't
sounds,
do that.
and you could be unintelligible, but it sounds fine.
Yeah.
There's something about the accent that's heartwarming because you're like, oh, is he a brilliant idiot? I can't tell. If he could be a genius or a total
I was
dipshit.
in awe of the Chicago people, New York people. I mean, as a kid, I always thought the East Coast could beat the hell out of the West Coast.
Well, because you're a Montana kid.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we
then
went
San
there every
Francisco,
summer in
yeah.
the Bay Area. But yeah, anytime you see a Scorsese film or something like that, you want something kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Joe Pesci.
Pesci. The
and
Pesh.
He just had a phrase. We were talking about fighting or whatever. He goes, son of a lady, you got to fight, I say it's a sugar bowl across the nose.
So sugar bowl across the nose.
So he clearly had done that.
yeah.
He clearly, there's guys around. He's reached for the sugar bowl, and boom, right in the bridge of the nose.
That was his fighting
Sugar bowl
technique.
across. Sooner or later, sugar bowl across the nose. And I asked him, do you know when you're in a brilliant scene like in Goodfellas, do you guys kind of look around afterwards and go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He goes, hey, you just lock in.
Just lock
You
in.
just lock in. That's it.
Yeah, he feels like one of those guys that he would say stuff like, "Yeah, it was good," and you're like, "No, it was amazing." He's like, "I don't know. What do you know?
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? Well, you sugar bowl across the nose."
Well, that guy, got out of show business like in 2000, became a musician. He never wanted to really do it,
well,
Became a musician, has
Yeah.
an album and stuff, singer.
yeah,
One of the great. Now he's back. He's in Bupkis.
he's humming again. Yeah,
He's humming again.
he's humming again. I want to ask you because we talked. Coney and I were talking about the documentary about your show.
Oh, Coney. Coney watched the documentary?
He loved it. Well, we loved the show, and I watched.
I'll tell you the real story.
Give me the real story. What was taken out that didn't end up in there? What did you really want to leave in there?
Well, there was just, it was a little more complicated because I had, I had 2 kids and I really, I wanted to do it on HBO. you know?
Yeah.
Because it was, you do 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And take a year off. It really can fit into your lifestyle. So 22 on a network.
Tough.
And I won't blame anyone, but I was sort of seduced into that model.
Blame somebody. We know who it is. Go ahead and
Well,
say it. Who did it to you?
My manager wanted it there. I think Louis and Robert, my partners, remember Louis C.K.?
No.
He's a good stand-up.
What is he?
You check him out. Check him out.
Louis?
Yeah.
Louis, look up Louise C.K.
LK. I think they wanted the big toy box, you know, and prime time, you're going to get a bigger budget. But later on, Chris Albert, HBLC, would have given us about the same. In the end of the day now, it was kind of cool. We got shit on after I was, you know, with the teats with Bill Clinton. We were just lambasted. And so it was kind of cool later on. People, no, that was actually, we didn't even do anything blue, basically. After. I mean, it wasn't really blue, but it didn't belong after Spin City or Home Improvement.
No.
Because when they're seducing you, Bob Iger's in the room, we want you to do everything you do on Saturday Night Live. Don't worry about it, kid. And then you get the ratings. We started at 16 million.
Wow.
And then by the time Clinton's going, I fed the nation and these teats will heal the world, it went down to like 3 million. It was
Dropping off.
yeah, historic. Now, what did you like about the documentary?
I actually love. Well, I love what I loved was.
What'd you like about it?
Well, we talked about. We said you say Louis. Louis kind of like a distant fade in that. Is that because of everything that happened that it was kind of like pulled Louis out of the documentary a little bit?
I would have kept him in there. I mean, you know, he was the head writer. I was sitting with Louis and thought Robert said, meet Louis, and I thought, you know, talked to him, seemed really smart, great writer.
Yeah.
Did the stupid pranksters where Carell almost killed himself.
Yeah.
You know, working so hard, veins popping out. But yeah, I don't think artists can be canceled for Louis' thing. Am I trending now? Am I trending and or canceled? Yeah, I didn't reach the definitional thing of me to say we're going to erase you.
Sure.
What about you, Andrew?
In here, we pour whiskey.
This episode of Whiskey Ginger is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. I've been using Squarespace for a long time. Created some of my first sites when it came to touring and putting up videos and stuff using Squarespace. They had these beautiful templates because I'm not a person that knows how to create stuff on my own. You should see how horribly decorated my home is. I need help. Please, someone give me a template. That's what Squarespace provides. Great templates to help you build something beautiful. Whether you're selling stuff, you're a personal trainer and you're selling your time, you're an artist, and you're selling something you've made, or you just want to showcase your work and let people in this world see what you're up to. They have online stores there that you can sell your products, whether you sell physical, digital, or service products. They have the tools to help you start selling online. They have these flexible templates that are great. A video collection, you can host video content on there. My favorite thing that they have on there is the analytics. You can use these to help grow your business. It shows me where you're coming from, so I know where I'm coming to. It tells me where my audience is, where my fans are, helps me organize tours. You can learn where your site visits are coming from and analyze the channels to make it the most effective so you can improve your website, build a marketing strategy based on your top keywords, most popular products, content searched. It's brilliant. It's amazing. I like to keep in touch with my audience, and Squarespace makes it so simple to do so. So if you're looking to make a site, why not try Squarespace? Go over to squarespace.com for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use the squarespace.com/whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Once again, squarespace.com. All right, you get a free trial. If you're ready to go to squarespace.com/whiskey to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Check it out with Squarespace. Maybe you've heard of Gooder. Maybe you haven't. Gooder makes $25 active sunglasses that don't slip, don't bounce, and are 100% polarized. Love it, baby. Love that sheen on my shades. All right? Gooder sent me a bunch of shades. Loved them. Put them on. Real sexy, real smooth. You know, they had everything from the old school, the OG, to something more stylistic and unique. They're lightweight. They're super comfortable. They're 100% polarized. There's a ton of cool colors. If you're active, you like running, or playing a sport. They don't slip or they don't bounce. They're light enough that they stay clinched to the frame of your face, and they're very, very easy to clean, okay? They're only $25 a pair. What more do you want to sunglasses, all right? I enjoy them very much. I like cycling through sunglasses. I like to change as my day goes. Sometimes I want to wear darker shades. Sometimes I want to wear a lighter frame. You know what I mean? I want to switch it up, baby. And with Gooder, you can. They got a 1-year warranty, 30-day free returns, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. They know you're going to like these shades. And the best part is they're $25 a pair. You can, switch them out all the time. Gooder's 100% carbon neutral company, right? 1% for the planet, plus 1% for the planet. That's huge. These guys are great. I really enjoy Gooder. I think they're wonderful because expensive sunglasses just aren't for me. I like lightweight and affordable for running. I do like running in sunglasses and also playing golf. When I put them on my face, they look nice because my face looks nice and they look nice. It's a tag team, baby. Try it out if you want affordable sunglasses that are lightweight and do not slip or bounce on your face. If you want to support this show, pick up a pair. Gooder is giving Whiskey Ginger listeners free shipping on your first order. Go to gooder.com/whiskey. Use the code whiskey to get free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Come on, why not give it a try? Find your pair at gooder.com/whiskey. Use that code whiskey to get free shipping.
Ginger. I like gingers.
The cancel culture is a very well-worn and sort of tricky topic.
Well, it just feels sometimes like there's a level of avoidance always in our business when they're like, I don't want to.
Yeah, they're soft canceling.
Yeah,
They're just, how about this guy in the podcast? How about this person? So there's soft canceling. It's not like official.
Yeah,
you
no.
know?
It's not. Well, it's not set in stone. But
the anti-cancels, can we get them? Can we get Santino?
How can we get him?
Can we get Santino?
Can we
Have you
get him?
seen the downloads? Do you know what they're doing? Do you know how far? Do you understand that Bert Kreischer can play a stadium in Munich?
Yeah, 2 of them. He'll probably do 2. We played the Gorge. We played the Gorge in Washington. It was 15,000 people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You guys are badass rebels.
Well, here's what I'll tell you why.
Creating this universal new global order of comedy.
Because in your generation, you guys
cannot
had
get
Carson, and Carson could bless you, and we didn't have that. I mean, like
No.
Conan, your buddy Conan. I did Conan once. There's my card from Conan, and I did Conan once. And my generation doing Conan and all that stuff was huge.
Yeah,
but it still didn't bless you the way that your generation got blessed. So we were fist fighting our first 10 years in stand-up to try to figure out how the fuck are we going to get up? It just didn't make sense. So when I started headlining, like B rooms, even getting like $600 and losing money getting there.
right.
We were all kind of struggling to figure out what would it be. It's either land a TV show,
Right.
or
SNL.
SNL,
Sitcom.
hopefully, or you get into a network world of like, writing and working with other people who are already kind of cooking, and they slide you in, so to speak. You
Right.
get a guest star here, guest star there, and then it slowly shakes its way to the top. But I think the podcast world and all this stuff was a way to just go, okay, fuck it. We'll just talk to the audience. If they want to see it, they want to see it. And then it became obvious to them that they're like, well, I don't really want to hear who so-and-so says I should like. We'll just find out ourselves, and we'll go see them.
What year were you?
I mean, I started podcasting this show 6 or 7 years ago, but I started getting into other people's 8 or 9 years ago. People had them, and we would kind of do them. And I did Rogan years and years ago when I first met him, and then it slowly kind of carried into going, okay, well, this is the best way for someone to see me be funny, talk to someone I admire or respect, and then that was kind of the beginning of this new world order that we're living
and the
in.
misery index is completely defeated because you are your boss.
You are your boss.
You say what you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just glad I hung around long enough for this to happen.
It's great.
Because I had a podcast I did without a company called Fantastic where I would do 10-minute rants. I had Fauci singing and all kinds of stuff. I had running gags where Obama kept asking to come on the podcast because it was audio.
Let me on.
Dana, am I on today? I'm sorry, man. My sister's coming on.
Yeah.
She's housewife from Connecticut instead of a former president. Michelle, no, I'm not on today. Nope, sister's going on. Dana, do you know how to trend? I mean, do you understand numbers? You know, so he became a running guest and things like that.
Yeah.
It's stuff I would do backstage. I mean, Kevin Neal and I would laugh ourselves silly doing Hans and Franz for 5 hours. And then we had to distill it, and then land it. But yeah, the funniest stuff is always
Who wrote Hans and Franz?
Hans and Franz.
You guys
No,
wrote it together?
Kevin and I thought of it together, and we wrote it together. Once we hatched it, then Conan liked it, Smigel liked it, Jim Downey liked it. People could come in and write for let's try to write one now. Like if
Yeah.
it goes like the girly man thing, some of the classics are Arnold could flick you with his little finger.
Easily.
And you would fly across the room and land in your own baby poop. It doesn't even make sense. So the guy has baby poop over there, and he's going to be flung back into it.
Yeah, why?
So don't undo your belt. You might cause a flavalanche. Just a pun.
You're right.
You know. This one I particularly like. Your buttocks are like marshmallows. You're lucky we don't have a campfire here. So they're threatening to burn this guy. It's the most sadistic thing. And once we knew they were never going to lift weights and they were just paranoid, delusional people fighting imaginary enemies. And if you doubt us, like they're just in a cable, you know, there's no one. If you don't think we're properly formed, we could very easily come to your house and pummel you until you cry like a little baby. We stretch the flap of your back into the shape of a rope ladder so you can crawl down into the sewer, because that's where losers live. I mean, it's poetry for me. I mean, that still might be the thing that makes me laugh the most, those word packages of
Where
threatening.
did the accent come from?
We saw, we, meaning Kevin, Dennis, and I, did a little tour after my first year of SNL. Church Lady was huge, so which is a whole nother story.
Were you doing Church Lady on stage too, or no?
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you write stand-up for Church Lady?
Church Lady was part of my stand-up. I didn't come out as a church lady in an hour of stand-up or 70 minutes. You know, I might do 3 minutes.
Right.
It was just talking about church. You know, we were Lutheran, Catholic light. We would miss a lot of Sundays, and we'd come in and the church ladies would go, well. Apparently some of us only come to church when it's convenient. So that was the in, and then it went to infinity from
Right.
there. But just as an insert, because that happened to be on the first show, my first show of SNL, we're just doing the read-throughs. The week's going on. I don't even know where I am. What I didn't even know what the cold opening was.
Right.
And we're just going through the week, and then Neil Young came and said to Lauren, do you have someone who could play an old lady who would interrupt me in Madison Square Garden on Wednesday night? So Church Lady he knew of the character. He goes, so I went to Madison Square Garden 3 days before my first SNL and interrupted Neil Young.
No.
Wow, what's all this noise? All that stuff. Can you believe it? So Phil Hartman, the late, great best friend of mine, and John Lovitz, he said, I think we should try the Church Lady, you know. So that got on the show, barely.
Right.
It was the final one. And then it got flipped after it killed. The minute I was so fucking nervous.
Trying it for the first time on the
Yeah,
show.
and in the dress for the first time. And the Sigourney Weaver's there, Victoria Jackson. The crowd's there. We got to hit the ground running. First time the show ever didn't get a full season pickup. We were told if we don't hit the ground running, they're going to
What
pull
year?
the
That's
plug.
80.
86.
86 was the first time they
Yeah.
were like, we'll give you half.
Yeah. We'll get only time.
Yeah.
So then Victoria does her, and Jesus said this, and Jesus said that. So I just laid in, well, isn't that special? Boom, huge laugh. Then
Yeah.
that was like, and then I got to do Chop and Broccoli at the end of the show, and I did the cold opening, but I didn't know I was in the cold opening with Phil and Jan. So that really, really helped me.
When you put on the dress,
Yeah.
did it make you chuckle every time you put on the dress, like to lay into the character?
Well, it's funny because I knew immediately that she was going to be androgynous. So
Yeah.
there was people around like, and we'll fit you for this and lipstick. No, she is completely androgynous. And, you know, when I put the wig on and the thing on, I look in the mirror and go, that's a really potent character.
Yeah.
That's a potent, judgmental, you know.
It looks like most of the nuns I grew up with.
Yeah.
It's like every nun I ever saw.
And the religious people, my mother-in-law's Irish Catholic, they loved it. Leslie Jones said the black churches went crazy for it. So
Yeah.
everyone loved it. And, you know, I came from the Coneheads. Guess what? They had Coneheads. So the church lady, there was a period of time they wanted to give her a name. I go, really? So for one episode, she was named Enid Strict.
Enid Strict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, the church lady is just more pum-pum. Church lady.
Yeah, that's what you'd call them as a kid. The church ladies. Wait, go back and tell me about the Hans and Franz on tour.
Well, we're on
accents.
tour. Kevin lived in Germany for a period of time, so he kind of had an accent now. So he saw Arnold on TV, and we made a poem out of it. So Arnold is the guy that everything in life he's got figured out in a great way, and everything's very simple, and he says it very slowly. You know, when you're traveling, you want to get the workout in. So you run the stairs. You run the stairs at the hotel. You get back to your room. You take a nice light shower. You put on a white cotton shirt, and you're ready for the evening. And it always ended with you're ready for the evening. So we were doing like crazy, driving Dennis Miller crazy. Okay, Hans and Franz again, fellas. All right. Let me guess. To the end with that's ready for the evening. That's a pithy moniker. Okay, that'll light up a T-shirt. But anyway, so we went from there, and then we were on the phone one night, and I'd come up with, and we want to pump you up, almost making fun of catchphrases, you know. We want to pump, we have a catchphrase, you cannot feed it, you know. And then Kevin was the one who said, and if you don't believe us. And the minute he said that, if you doubt us, we went off giggling for an hour.
Right.
Because it's just, yeah. And if you think you could come and compare yourself to our muscles, you're sadly mistaken. Look in the mirror, and what do you see?
It's almost
man.
flirtatious is why it's
Well,
funny.
it became because I get bored and like to abstract things.
Yeah.
And also, they had the black lemon.
Yeah, the gaff.
So that would go on, and then I didn't want to smear it. So I would be like this for a few, and I'd look in the mirror. And suddenly it looked like he was looking at me. I'm stronger than you. And so I started, plus I was the smaller guy.
Yeah.
So I took it further and further until, again, had nothing to do with sexuality. It was just someone so pleased with himself. It's languorous. Can you believe how properly pumped I am? And so then that kept making me laugh harder. So that prevented me from getting bored. Because when I get bored, I get flat.
Right.
That's why by the end going, nah, can't do it like that. I was still intrigued by the character. I wasn't bored because who knew? It was insane.
But when it goes abstract, that's what, like, the rhythm that you guys took from the Arnold part that I liked was Arnold, and everyone has an impression of Arnold, but the beauty of what those do is it's almost like he's a guy that assumes you don't speak English well. Do you know what I mean? The way he says stuff, he's like, you know, in the shower, you know, the shower.
Yeah.
He's explaining to you, you're like, yeah, I know what a fucking shower.
Yeah.
He's like, but if you wrap early, it's gonna get wet everywhere. You know the water will be. And
See, you got a good ear.
But what that did well was almost like you're explaining to people as if they don't. It's like, how do you not get it?
It's fun. It's interesting you point that out because I sometimes do this bit that when he was governor, he would talk to us like we were in grade school.
Yeah.
And there was a fire in Simi Valley, and the fire's growing in the mountain, and the firefighters look in the telescope, and they go, no, there's a fire. And they get on the fire truck, the hook and ladder.
Beep, beep, you know.
And then they unwrap the hoses and put the water on the fire. And the fire's like, I don't like this. I don't like water on me. And they go, no, I'm going to do it anyway. So yeah, it's just that's the genius of Arnold.
What accents do you think? So people joke with me on the internet because I'll do a bunch of different accents.
Oh.
Like I grew up, when we moved to the suburbs, my next door neighbors were Indian. And I became good friends with their son. And we'd grow up together, and I would emulate him. And then now, and if I did it for years.
Yeah.
And then in this day and age, it's
You're
so
not
funny that
supposed
people
to
are like,
do
oh, you can't do that. But you're like, yeah, but it's because I love this guy, and I'm doing an impression of someone I know. And
Yes.
It doesn't. The hardest thing about accents and characters to me is people sort of have made up their own rules over why or why not certain
Right.
ones are okay.
Yeah.
And
I know.
but like, what is that about? I don't understand. If you're like, well, if there's love behind it, I don't see why it's not okay. If it's vitriol, if it feels like I'm doing this to be mocking, then and it's obvious.
That's different.
It's different. But people, I believe people are smart enough to know the difference. But when I was a kid, my neighbor and I would emulate his dad because his dad was very sweet and everything was simple. Andrew, come over and we come inside and take a bite of the meal, and then you can go back out and play. But he wants to be here, and I would.
So that's good because it's really nice and real.
Yeah, it's real, but
very
it's not, and
subtle.
it's not me being like, "Don't I sound stupid?" It's me saying
Right.
that's exactly what I heard when I was a kid. But it is funny that now on the internet people get weird about it. What's the one that you wish you could still do that you maybe did before that you don't do anymore?
Well, I was doing. I did accents around the world a little bit, and that was a way of kind of doing all of them. That before language, everyone grunted. Mm-hmm. So even a guy in France, we didn't have language or words, but eventually some guy in the plains of France went, he's pointing to the water, and they didn't get it. You know, so it's like that language thing. And then with India, I was doing, I'll probably get canceled for this, but it was just that the lilting, because I have a very good friend who's the director of cardiology at Cedars-Sinai. And so when I do events for them, he wants me to do him.
Of course.
And he just talks like this. He's a brilliant doctor. First thing you must know is you're going to be all right. You know? I mean, you're going to be okay, and it's going to be good. I just did an event, and I did him, and he's just laughing his ass off.
Because it's endearing. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
And I'm doing Dr. Shaw.
Right.
I'm not doing an Indian accent.
Yes.
I'm just doing Dr. Shaw. The one that I thought was kind of, is talking about the origin of language, and what I did, I don't do this now, but I was doing that, the copacetic lilting language of the Indian accent was because it was a trade route. So it had a very,
Right.
oh, dabada.
Taking and receiving.
Will you give?
Will you? I will know.
So that rhythm, it's coming from that, and then this one I couldn't do, but it was this one's always killed. I said,
What?
And in Japan, that really cool guttural thing came from all the earthquakes. So they'd be like, you know, so you run that by Bobby Lee or anybody you want
Yes.
to run it by, but
No, but that is great. That's like California earthquakes. That's why everyone was like, oh, whoa, man.
But I talk about, I'm Norwegian and Irish, and so I talk about them, and the Norwegians are obviously not very bright because they, I mean, no one would talk like that. So anyway, but
Well, we can make a fun. They always say, like, you make fun of yourself. You're like, yeah, you can also make fun of those that you love. Like, also, redheads, we've joked on Bobby and I show, is like, it's like the last. Redhead, Irish specifically too.
Yeah.
They're like the last group that everyone can shit on. Like redheads are open game.
Yeah, why?
Everyone can be like, look at this ugly freak, and everyone's like, yeah, look at this idiot. The internet is like allowed to take because redhead is it's
3%. What is it of
what percentage of the world is red hair? But it's just one of those things where I don't know. We're still open game. We're like one of the last open game, and I like it because it's fun. It is. Like South Park did a Kick a Ginger Day episode, which I thought was one of the funniest.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just are allowed to kick redheads one day.
2%.
2%. Yeah, 2% of the world's
Do you
population.
know that blue eyes only came in 10,000 years ago, I think?
Yeah, who did it, by the way?
People went
Who's
crazy.
responsible for these blue eyes?
I don't know.
Dirty enough the rest of us.
Bioevolutionary history is never not fast.
I always saw my whole family had blue eyes, and I like see my shitty brown eyes, and I remember vividly a girl in college goes, your eyes are beautiful. She was drunk. And I said, oh, thanks, at the bar. And she goes, they look like dirty lake water. And so forever in my mind, when I look at my eyes in the mirror, I see like a shitty, dirty lake in the Midwest. That's what I think about.
Funny.
Dirty lake water. It was very specific. You look like dirty lake
look
water.
like dirty lake water.
Dirty.
Would you like to have sex with me? No, so back to Joe Biden. Oh, because people said, guess what, folks? The rich don't pay their fair share. They got to pay the share, Sharon Stone. The Stone Temple Pilots. But it's boxing about signing share. Signing listen. Boxing match game, game on. Got to get it on. Don't say gay, Marvin Gaye. Just nonsense.
I like that. Peeling from the last to get to the next.
Peeling from the peel, yeah.
Peeling from the last to get to the next.
Those are kind of fun.
No, I think we're the who allows what's okay to make fun of is an interesting world for characters and
I think
accents.
you're right. If the intent is not to hurt, to harm, to even harbor negative stereotypes of any kind, you know, then I don't know. I did an Asian character on SNL, and and again, I didn't get into this to have anybody crying in the back of the club was sincerely hurt.
Right, no.
You know.
No. You're not like, good, fuck them. That was never it.
Because I watched a documentary. This is from this last special, and I got lambasted for it. Maybe I shouldn't have done it, but I just saw a documentary around communist China, and then they have the person speaking in a lilting Mandarin, and then they have the narrator. So it'd be like, I live in a village of 10 million people. All we make is underwear. That's all we make. Because I heard of these mega cities that just make socks or just make underwear.
Right, yeah.
And so that was just fake Mandarin. I don't know. I couldn't do it today.
No. Well, you did it in your special?
I did, yeah. But
would you ever do another special or no? Just because of the saturation of the market now?
I would say that if there was, if I had a setup somewhere, and I would try to do, because I come on to stuff and then I peak with them and I get flat with them, you know?
Why?
Because I've extrapolated as far as I can. Well, sometimes you have a bit that maybe you're good with it, and then it kind of goes into a ditch a little bit. You get a little bored, maybe you miss the setup, and then it, and then you add something and it is new again.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather do, a 5 to 8 minute special a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that something you're gonna do or
I'm
no?
considering it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a smart idea.
Yeah, and I think in general, I put myself in this category. It doesn't really capture it,
Well, they never do. I mean, it's tough. There's like a handful of guys.
There's a few
like Louis. I
specials.
can watch Louis a million times and go, this feels exactly like when I see Louis live.
Louis has a certain, I don't use that word. He has a lane he occupies as a stand-up.
Yeah.
That's very unique because it's not, you're like, okay, that's a good observation. Like, why is this so good?
Yeah.
But even this recent thing he does like 10 minutes on Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay, so you can do that?
Yeah.
It's 25 years old. Maybe a lot of people don't remember, and all about, Matt Damon supposedly writing the script and how do you like them apples? And so he does it so beautifully. You're just like, he is at his own level.
Yeah, Chappelle does that too. Chappelle will talk about like Cosby. Well, he'll talk about like Michael Jackson, and you're like,
right.
The Michael Jackson, is there a new one? Or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he'll talk about it as if it just happened, but it does trick your brain into going, that feels recent, even if it's a subject from before.
Yeah.
But I think the 5 to 8 minutes is a good idea.
Yeah, when you're just kind of coming on to something, it's not even completely done. And so it feels alive, For me, it deadens it. Like when the last special I did, there was Friday night, the air conditioning broke or there's some technical issues. So it's like one shot, one kill.
Yeah.
After a year. So then, of course, you said one shot. I mean, I thought Sandler's was so done so great.
It was.
Because it's the first time I've ever seen a big comic in a special, and you can tell right now Adam doesn't know if he's shooting a special. That's how loose he was.
It doesn't
because he
feel like
shot
it,
it 100 times.
Right.
So then he's just fucking around with Dan Bula, and he's got the things. It was so. If it had been one night, it's just something about doing that.
That was a smart formula. I went and saw him. We were in Detroit, Bobby and I, and we went over to watch him at the arena.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, it felt the exact same that his special does. But I think that's also the air of Sandler is very like, I'm having a great time. I hope you're having a great time with me. Where a lot of comics, and I suffer from it too, where you're like working so hard to make sure that it's working so well that sometimes it has that same thing that you said, like the money dirties up the comedy, where you're like, I want it so bad to be good for you guys that sometimes I lose out on having fun. I thought Adam was having the best time the whole time.
Yes, yeah. And, he's got his guitar and he's kind of singing.
He's got like 10 guitars on stage.
Yeah, he's got all his guitars and he's singing, and then they're using really cool chirons or imagery. Or, so it's like wallet, keys, chain, wallet, you know what I mean? And, Sandler just brings a sense of joy. He's just kind of giggling the whole time.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you're with him.
And I think I think the formula, the old-fashioned formula of work on it for a year, have the company come and give you notes, and then you do it again. You're talking to your friends, and you're just squeezing it and grinding it, and I need this, and perfectionitis, and then here comes the cameras. I don't know. I think it shouldn't be done that way.
Well, it does. It also does a trick to the audience that I never like, where
they know you're
shooting a special. Yeah, they're conscious of a special. So it's kind of like, how is this doing? What is this doing to them that they wouldn't have done before? That's what always bothered me. Could you hide the cameras? I thought about that. I thought, well, could you hide cameras and then make them sign releases after it's over and go, hey, just letting you know you're on cameras.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, say you're somewhere and the difference in the sets, do some nights you just feel like you're like way, way funnier just because you're just that loose or tired or whatever, and then you're tagging things and it's at this other frequency?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're that style of comic that would do well from an 8-minute special every month.
Me, seriously, I would. See, here I am right now. Hey, great! Hi, great to be here.
Well, I'm just saying, I'll be the production company.
Hey, great to be here. What's up with...
First thing you say is, I am not shooting a special.
I'm not shooting a special. This is not a special.
And you're not watching a special. So none of this exists.
In here, we pour whiskey, whiskey.
Oh, the rabbit hole. I've talked about rabbit hole so much on this show. It's because I believe in the sauce. I really like the sauce. I'm introducing Rabbit Hole to some of you that don't know about it. And they're one-of-a-kind bourbon and rye whiskeys, delicioso. Here on Whiskey Ginger, we enjoy pouring this stuff for our guests. It is very good. Their founder and whiskey maker gave up to 25-year-plus career as a clinical psychologist to pursue his lifelong passion to craft the world's finest spirits, okay? Instead of buying aged whiskey, he went all in, learning from the best to develop his own recipes. No shortcuts, no compromise. Last year, he was inducted into the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame's 20th anniversary class. That's pretty legendary, baby. Rabbit Hole's mission is to transform ordinary into the extraordinary, and their whiskeys prove it. Original mash bill recipes, signature malted grains, aged in hand-selected charred and toasted barrels. Just award-winning small batch whiskey made with passion and love, and you can tell. If you're looking for a new whiskey with a new perspective, skip that ordinary and sip the extraordinary. They got 4 distinct whiskey expressions. Today, we were drinking a little bit of the good old Boxer Grail. I love this stuff. This is the rye. I'm not typically a big rye guy, but some days I enjoy this so much. This is award-winning, by the way, sour mash rye. It's delicious. They have the Derringer. That's finished in that PX sherry casks. They've got the High Gold. That's their double malt bourbon, their high rye double malt bourbon. And Cave Hill is, of course, the OG. That's their award-winning 4-grain triple malt bourbon. It is delicious. If you're looking to learn more about this, go to rabbitholedistillery.com/drizzly. Use the promo code RABBIT for $5 off your first order. Rabbitholedistillery.com is going to show you where all the Rabbit Hole is sold in your area. So jump down the rabbit hole with me. Drink responsibly. Summertime is coming to a close very soon, but it doesn't mean you can't still live in that summertime vibe, baby. That's why I'm here to tell you about Raycon. Raycon is the best way to listen to your tunes or podcasts or whatever you got inside of your ear holes. These Raycon earbuds are incredible. They got noise isolation and awareness mode. They got 32-hour battery life, including 8 hours of playtime. You can listen to what you want, when you want, for a really long time. They come with custom gel tips to insert inside of your little personalized ear. And they start at half the price of other premium audio brands, but they sound just as good. Raycon earbuds are incredible. They come with a 30-day happiness guarantee. Try it out for a month, so you really can't lose. What do you got to lose? I've been using these Raycons to run with, which is great because those custom tips, they fit comfortably in my ear. They don't fall out when I run. That's why I dig them. Whether you're somebody that likes to listen to tunes or podcasts or anything at the beach, Raycon is durable, sleek, sexy, and cool. And they also last a very long time. 32-hour battery life is very impressive, including 8 hours of playtime. What else do you need in an earbud at a fraction of the cost of those overtly expensive earbuds that are on the market right now? You want to put some tunes inside of your head. Might as well use Raycon for a great price, and they sound phenomenal. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. Right now, Whiskey Ginger listeners are going to get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/whiskey. That's buyraycon.com/whiskey to save 15% off on Raycons. Buyraycon.com/whiskey. Listen up. Enjoy.
Ginger. I like gingers.
Yeah.
That was something that, honestly, that Louis did, that a lot of guys did, that I always thought was brilliant, was Norm did it, where the specials opened with jokes.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of, like, setup.
No.
It was like, oh, I'm already on stage telling a joke.
Yeah.
I kind of was jealous of that because I was like, oh, you fucking cut through all the fat and you got right to say. Sometimes it was like you heard the laughter from a joke that he did before. They didn't even put on the special.
Yeah, I
That
know.
you're like, you son of a bitch, you tricked me again.
Yeah, I don't know what someone said. Paul Giamatti was on our podcast.
Paul
The
Giamatti came
actor.
out about that.
And he went, he said, he wasn't, he's a very sweet guy. Wasn't crazy. Just saw a lot of self-deprecating or just a new style of comedy. You know, if there is a lane of kind of like, there's a lane thing.
There's a lane.
Of coolness, that's all. You
Yeah.
know, I still happily, Phil Hartman and I love it. We just consider ourselves clowns. Like, I'll fall down. I want to get you helpless.
Right.
And then the badass comics is a whole other idea.
Cool,
elbow on the mic,
comic.
you know?
Yeah.
So I was jacking off in front of my cat, right? The cat looks up at me and says, "Why you jacking off?" You know, I said, "'Cause I like to, you fucking pussy." I just made that up. But that
Crush. That would crush.
yeah. But I've refused my entire life to ever be a grumpy old man. I think SNL is the best it's ever been. I think comedy scene is the best it's ever been.
Yeah.
It's such a disease of my day was so much better. Oh, everything's worse, you know.
Yeah.
So I believe music reflects the society. You
Totally.
know, if it's Taylor Swift or hip hop or whatever it is, that's what it needs to be.
What's your music that you go home to? What does Dana Carvey listen to in his
Frankie
car?
Avalon.
You're a big Avalon guy.
Avalon, don't ever fuck with my Frankie. No. My musical tastes expanded. I didn't really discover Sinatra till I was 40,
Really?
and then I went, holy shit. I mean, I was aware of him, but
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I went, holy shit.
Like listen to him. Really
Yeah.
got into
And
him.
so I was like, well, what is this? You know, and then Harry Connick Jr. was at SNL. So I said, what is it about Sinatra? What is it? He goes, he can slide off the note, but not all the way. This is he's almost flat, but not flat.
Yeah, it does sound like
And
he,
so it
he gets
gives you all
close.
this emotion.
Yeah.
And also, in terms of Sinatra, you know the lyrics, he's way on top of the band, and you just hear the voice.
Yeah.
And the Beatles are like that too. They mixed really hot on top, not buried inside. But you know, I went along the whole trajectory. But yeah, of course, the Beatles are seminal for me because of the age I discovered them. You know, like say, who were you? What was the band when you were 13 or 10, 14?
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nirvana.
Yeah.
For me, being up the age ladder from you, was new. Was like holy shit for me. Nirvana. Yeah.
They were just that was like
That was the
From-
phrasing, the chord changes,
Right.
and the simplicity of it. Yeah.
that was to me it was like I heard music when I heard Nirvana. I was like, oh, this is like,
Yeah.
this is rock what I like. This is what I like, I
Yeah.
think. It was like everything I thought
Yeah.
music should have been.
John
sounded like
Lennon
that.
and Led Zeppelin or something made a baby or something.
Yeah.
It had some kind
Something made a
of
baby.
weird phrasing and
It was just speaking to a generation.
As you are, as you are.
Go ahead.
And again, those minor notes and those the phrasing and the melodies that he came up with, and then
I was
Dave Grohl on the drums.
I love that he kind of he would speak to them about his pain and also be angry about their misinterpretation of his pain. I've talked about this before, but the song "In Bloom" is so incredible because he's literally saying to them,
Yeah.
all these fucking idiots that like my shit, they don't even listen to what I'm saying."
Yeah.
And he's literally saying that in the song. He says they sing along to the words and they have no idea what I'm talking about. It's so funny
Yeah.
to shit on the audience that is indulging in you because you're like, you aren't even listening to me. But I'll make a catchy tune and you'll sing that too. Like John Popper did that Blues Traveler song where he's literally teasing the audience saying, I'm not really saying anything, but you still like it.
I wonder, I mean, I don't know all the problems that Kurt had, and but just clumsy analogy. But the Beatles finally couldn't tour. Just was too insane.
Too
Someone
much.
was going to die,
Yeah.
and they just screamed. They couldn't hear themselves. They had no monitors. It was over.
Yeah.
So we're just going to live in a studio. I think that you can start to, because I'm spinning around here. My brother-in-law is a PhD. His PhD was on Mark Twain, and Mark Twain lost all his money, had to put on the white suit and tour the world. And he said, he asked me, why do you think he was so angry? Because it's documented that he had contempt for his audience.
Right.
Because he felt like a wind-up clown, a monkey on a string. It's like me going out there in the dress. Well, isn't that special?
Right.
So I think Kurt Cobain, someone would have got to him. No, just release albums.
Don't tour.
Don't tour. Don't be with the, woo! Yeah!
Yeah. Just
It's-
play one show a
Yeah.
year and that's it. Don't tour.
If even that.
Yeah. Well, that's why I feel like because there's in the new
just
world,
record.
everyone music-wise, like Taylor Swift, we were talking about that the other week. It's such a big tour. It's almost not real anymore.
Well, she's a nation state. This is like its own country
yeah.
called Taylorania.
Taylor.
I mean, it's tilting the economy of the United States. It is. I read about it last night in the Wall Street Journal. The off-label impact of her. She'll come into a town 3 days early, and the hotels and restaurants. I mean, she's an economic ecosystem.
Wow.
I mean, she's way beyond anything.
She can shift the way the economy moves for a day in a city.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yes. Yes. It
crazy.
literally, birth rates go up, demographics change. There's more legal immigration. I mean, she's a nation state, and God bless her. I mean, she does not seem like someone who's going to fall apart. She seems like she's got her head screwed on straight, And
Well,
because
from-
usually that kind
yeah.
of fame, that kind of money, eventually you get tilted. Some people do, some people don't. You
Like,
know?
did you see guys when you were coming up? Did you see guys that you saw the thing get the best of them? That you were like, oh man, you could have kept going, but it just.
Because of just too big of an ego?
Well, so or sometimes the thing eats people alive. I mean, sometimes it just they don't know how to do it and they don't know how to navigate it. I feel like you, not knowing you, but I just feel like you've done it so well your whole career of being someone who's constantly just been. You've just created and continued on your way and not let yourself get in your own way, and that's a hard thing to do as you get famous because you're so fucking famous.
Thank you, Andrew.
You are, and,
No,
but it's true though. I mean, you don't get in your
I'll
own
tell
way.
you, and it all sounds self-congratulatory, but I met a lot of guys early on. You know, Mickey Rooney was one of them. And I met other actors. James Santino was another one. This is when they put me in sitcoms. I had no confidence. I just did whatever they're going to pay me $7,500 a week. I have to do it. I did a lot of shit. Nobody took the journey I took. You know, I tested for Amadeus. I did Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas's last movie together, playing the straight man. Hollywood wanted to hire me as just a straight, nice guy. But I met so many bitter people. And I thought, oh, this whole business is about getting you bitter. They fucked me. I didn't get what I should have.
Right.
And that's the biggest disease. Victimhood and bitterness, guaranteed you can't be successful. So, and for me also, I had to figure this out for myself. And I think you're a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
The fame, the money, the glory, the power, blah, blah, blah. But then there's also what affected young Andrew
Yeah.
and just the romance in a way of trying to affect someone that way. So like Monty Python or Steve Martin for me, and musically too. I'm not a musician, but I play one. I play guitar and stuff. But so it's like I was going in like what really supercharged me was I was where Dan Aykroyd was and Chevy Chase. I'm in their studio and I'm affecting the audience like they were. That was always the goal. And then I had people in love with money. I just don't have a lot of material, you know. I mean, now I'm trying to get money because I got a couple relatives.
got bills to
I got
pay.
a couple relatives, you know. And also, I just thought, like when I went and did these two shitty movies and then the show that was canceled. So I went from, Rolling Stone, Bob Hope gave me an Emmy. You know, I had two little kids. So I was just too much input.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I couldn't decide. I almost did the show that Conan did. They paid me $1 million just to think about it.
They give you $1 million to just go, let us know.
I said to Brett Gray, how did you get me $1 million? With no commitment. He goes, they got to make an announcement. And they want to float your name out. You know, me and David Letterman on the cover of TV Guide as going to take. So I was tortured for a year. My wife wanted me to do the talk show, you know.
Yeah.
I couldn't wrap my mind around doing an hour of TV every night. Just about how intense I was about Saturday Night Live. So anyway, there was all this going on. And so then I had a botch bypass, which I'm fine now.
Yeah.
You know? So I was in such a fallow period, but that's when it was really helpful to me that I wasn't really thinking, like some guys, I'll say this, they'll get famous and they're terrified of being less famous.
Yeah.
Like you can feel the fear. Is it going to go away? Am I not? You know, that kind of thing. I didn't have that. So that helped me sustain.
You never once cared if it got dipped down or went away or
No,
wasn't
I
as
didn't, honestly. I just wanted to not make any shitty stuff. I just wanted to make cool stuff.
Right.
And so eventually, during that time with the family, I was still huge in corporate stand-up, you know, and that was nothing I wanted to do, but it just was something I could do and be a dad for about 10 years.
instead of doing the show.
Well, I did a movie, Master of Disguise. That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I wasn't there for a year.
Did you hate it?
No, I loved some of the work in that. I mean, I love some of the scenes. It came out a little funny. It's a cult classic now.
Yeah.
I mean,
We were
there's-
talking about it before you came. We were talking about it.
There's a whole story to it. Even Rotten Tomatoes did a re-review 10 years later because they were kind of like trying to figure out what was going on with this movie. And it was a PG-13, but it was switched to a kids movie right before we started. So we had to rewrite as we went, me and Dino Stapanopoulos, who's Conan's writer. So we were in there and all that stuff of, the slapping dummy, you keep it, the whole, you're a blue belt, how many belts are there? There's 51 belts, all this really dry, weird stuff within this I mean, we didn't know. It was almost written like a parody of a PG movie because one of the studio executives said you need a monkey and a kid. It's a Disney trick. So we wrote Brave Barney Baker was the kid. That was his name. And the dog was called The Cuteness.
Yeah.
So we wrote it in almost a parody of PG movies. Yeah. And, Robert Shaw from Jaws made it in there from the other script. Cage going. So it's a big mess of a movie, but it's colorful. And people yell it out. And, there's drinking games at colleges.
Do you still like it? Like, if you watched it today, would you like it?
Well, I don't. Unless I have complete control of something, I don't normally like the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm not upset about it because it is a kid's movie, Yeah. And if a 5-year-old likes it, then that makes me happy.
What did you have complete control of that?
I think Wayne's World 1.
That was the most controlled you've
for
ever.
A film.
Yeah.
In terms of the sketches, I was either driving it or working with Kindred Spirits, but the main things there, I liked all the stuff that worked there. McLaughlin Group, I had a great run with Smigel. Because I'd come around doing Regis, and he loved that. And, same thing with Carson. Weird, wild stuff, all that. I did not know that, and all that. And he loved that new take on Carson at the time.
Yeah.
Which I did, too. And that was probably my single most favorite thing I did on the SNL as a performer. Because, kind of full circle to your point, that was the only time, and I'd been on a while. It took me 80 shows to even not be terrified. That was the only time I wasn't concerned about the audience laughing.
No, you just wanted to make it good.
I knew it was so funny.
Yeah.
Because my eyes are kind of close together. I put the get up on. I go, fuck, I kind of look like him. And then it's almost like some of Arnold's rhythms, how he would bring the whole audience in. And then it became, for those of you at home, you're watching a thing called a television. Yeah. And I'm not actually in your living room. So we're going to have a good guest tonight. So I just knew in him. And then Ed's, Phil, hysterical.
Ed's wasted.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
And then I did not know that. So it was just total sincerity in that character. Ed was the laugh button, but loved being Johnny, and I got blacklisted from the show.
That's so insane to me.
I know.
The Grudge.
But there was one sketch that just tipped over the line.
What was it?
I think it was... Chris Rock came on. Chris Rock came on as Arsenio.
Yeah.
And Johnny was discovering for the first time. So I understand our ratings have actually gone down and yours have gone up. That was one. And then Susan Day came on, and this is 12 years after the Partridge Family. And it was played that Johnny didn't know the Partridge Family was off the air.
He thought it was still running.
So on Monday morning or Monday evening show, Johnny apparently said at the beginning during the monologue, "You see that, Ed? We're senile now." So I felt bad about that. I did not feel anything but love for Johnny Carson.
And did you ever make amends with him?
I didn't. I think when
he went to the grave hating Dana Carvey.
I think that Johnny, there were other people. I understood that Joan. Oh, there he is.
Yeah. God, you look just like him too. It was unbelievable how close it was.
Well, yeah,
you really, truly, like it looked identical.
Carson, Carvey, both Irish.
It just looked the same though. You have the same.
Yeah.
You look like you looked young. You just look like a young Carson.
Yeah.
Because when he was young, he had that. He had just a slender face like that.
Oh yeah,
he looked exactly.
Yeah. So it's a fun.
Oh, is that right, Ed? Is that right, Ed?
Fun personality. So they call you Santino. So this is your studio. It's a nice place. And do you have a celebrity guest on often, or you sort of do man on the street stuff?
A lot of man on the street stuff.
Man on the street.
Yeah,
that's always funny because you don't know what they're going to say, and sometimes there'll be a kick in the pants.
That's right.
Anyway,
That's right.
so Hale, have a little scotch and soda.
How much did that bleed into when you did Jimmy Stewart too? Because it kind of has this, like Jimmy Stewart.
Jimmy Stewart.
I didn't know who Jimmy Stewart was when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But then I heard you do it.
Yeah.
And I liked him, and I didn't even know why I liked him.
I know. That was a conscious thing of wanting to sound like Jimmy Stewart. That was like, I want to learn that. And it was like 1975. And I'd seen It's a Wonderful Life. And I just loved his voice. And then I'm driving around the Volkswagen Bug with my friends. This is all true, right?
Yeah.
Peninsula at midnight. And it's like impressions. I don't know about you, but all I do is listen a lot,
Yeah.
Just listen a lot and then hope something comes. I don't have any technique.
Do you not pick up one little thing and steal? Like, I've talked
Then
to
I'd
some.
extrapolate it.
Right. You take one little thing and then open it up like that.
But I was literally, usually it just hits me. I have voicemails of me trying impressions that are so fucking bad.
Oh, I want to hear them so bad.
Just to try an impression. It's terrible.
Is it a word? Do you find a word? Like with Jimmy Stewart, always hung on me when the way you said yeah. The way he said yeah, you would say it. And I thought that seemed like an entry point to Jimmy.
Yes.
Like what was the entry point for Carson? Do you like what was it that you go, oh, that sounds exactly like him?
Gentleman joins us. It was just once I got down in there with that thing, and then just observing, because Rich Little did a really good one, but it's more Johnny and the monologue.
Yeah.
But just observing, I did not know that. Is that weird? Is that wild?
Yeah,
That's
weird,
weird,
and
wild stuff.
Weird, wild
So
stuff.
apparently, I don't know if this is true.
But when you're doing that, I have a really good friend. His parents are from Nebraska, and it's that Midwestern sincerity.
So when you do Johnny, it's just you're very nice. You're just. This is a handsome room. I like it. Our studio was slightly bigger, but I like this one better.
Yeah.
He was just a sweet guy. With Jimmy, it was sort of reaching a lot, because he would do that as an acting thing. He said, well, it kind of sounds natural. Not everybody knows exactly what they're going to say, So I do this in my stand-up. I can do it here. To amuse myself, I've done things behind the scenes. And I don't really work blue, but I like the fancifulness because I do Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas having sex. It was Bill Hader's favorite thing.
Yeah.
The greatest compliment I've ever gotten in my career, literally, was Bill Hader said, hey, Bill, so he's a brilliant guy. Love his stuff, man. But he goes, Lauren told me the funniest thing he ever heard or saw was you doing Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. I go, wow, that's a great compliment.
He never said that to you.
No.
No.
No, but I do a thing now because it just makes me laugh. And it's just Jimmy Stewart getting a blowjob, and it's not sexual. It's not sexual. You'll see in a minute. When I did it with Katharine Hepburn, then they were waiting for Katharine Hepburn. So now I just say I do these rapid impressions.
Yeah.
Which are just fun. George Bush Sr. goes over a high dive, gets such an outsized laugh. I don't know if you have bits that are like, why is this killing so hard?
Yeah.
So he's just going, gotta do it. And I'm creeping up the stage, gotta do it. And he's looking down, gotta do it. Not gotta do it. Don't know why. Just
it's perfect. Well, it's just perfect. Yeah. It
so
should
Jimmy
be.
Stewart getting a blowjob is just like, yeah, okay. Well, just look at it for a second. No, I don't want you to touch it. I just want you to consider it. Yeah, just take a gander. All right. Now turn away ever so slowly. That's it. Just turn away. And now I want you to forget it. I want you to. You've never seen it before. Just put it out in your mind. Okay. Now look around. Slowly, I want to see you discover it again. Yeah, there you are. Yeah, that I like that. That's good. Well, now get mad at it for a second. Just yell at it. Okay. Well, it's been a nice evening. Thank you very much. It's like there is no sex.
It's great because it's it's if you're pulling people into the tipping point, you never get there. It's
not
great.
even close. No, it's
Right.
just the I don't know, the perversion of just look at it. Now forget it. You've never seen it. When I did it on Conan's podcast, Deep Dive, I had him leave the building. Now, I'm gonna go get a soda around the building. Just wait, I'll be back. It's just the idea. Forget you've ever seen it.
Right.
So that stuff I just do because it amuses me. I don't really think, is that sophisticated? Is that clever? I have no idea.
No, it is very much
but
so.
I know it's ridiculous. You can't not laugh of it. Now just forget it.
It's easy to do when you say Jimmy Stewart getting a blowjob, the immediate reaction
It's going to be blue.
oh yeah, while it's happening.
Yes.
It'd also be funny if you did the aftermath of it too. So you do the preamble. It's almost like what does he do when it's over now too?
Like she performs a sexual act.
Because the beauty of this is you never even get to the sexual act. To me, it'd be funny if you also had now when it's over, the post blowjob. That's
well, I just want to thank you. It was a delight. It took longer than I thought it would, but I feel a great sense of relaxation. What's your name? You don't really have a name. Yeah, well. I left it on the dresser. You're going to be happy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
that
that's
you wind me up.
That's beauty because it's like that's the stuff that I like the most because when I know it's coming,
Yeah.
like anything else, you're like, okay. But
Yeah.
it's great to throw in the curve of it is that's what I really love about that stuff.
Yeah, and
the
I
impressions
just
that trick
like
us.
the vernacular with Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. Again, it's not pornographic at all. It's just that 40s vernacular.
Right.
You know,
It's like very transatlantic kind of like well, it's got that
I
very
want you, and I want you now.
yeah.
And I want all of it. Take it easy, son. Two men having fun. Don't keep bucking around like that, son. I've only got so much play down there. You know, it's that kind of ha 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 ha. And that's from doing a movie with them, you know.
And did that now?
And
Did
learning
they,
it from-
Did they hate you after doing it?
No, they never knew about it. But I did a movie with. I learned to do them from doing the movie with them. You know, actually hanging out with the
Yeah.
actual person. That's the best way.
Yeah, you hear when you start to emulate it enough where you're like,
Yeah.
now I can hear you in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do they call it whiskey ginger? You know, I don't know why they do. I think because the host has ginger hair. You know, they're just interesting voices,
Yes.
even if no one's ever heard of them.
Do you remember your audition for SNL vividly? Like, is it still stuck in your head?
Pretty much. I had two. I had one at the Igby's.
Right, and
where I
then
did
one
this-
in New York. Yeah.
And then not in New York in 8H. And then it was in Burbank in a studio.
oh, really?
And it was me and Phil. There it is. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What a shirt, by the way.
I know. I know.
I like
that-
the pick, the rolled up sleeves.
the roll up sleeves.
Is there a cigarette in there at any point? Huh? It is.
But-
But it does stick. I've asked a lot of my friends that have done it,
Yeah.
and a lot of them blacked out a little bit when they did it because the nerves and they kind of just went through the set.
Yeah.
But you still feel like you could, like you feel like you remember being there and doing it.
Oh yeah, and Lauren, I figured out later, which I've told people on Fly on the Wall, David and I's podcast.
Yeah.
the SNL
Listen
thing.
to Fly on the Wall, Dave. Dave and
if you want.
Dave. No, it's a great
Sorry,
show.
there's a library of 81. It's a potpourri, more than a baker's dozen. Pick a name and have a little joy. It's always fun. Lauren, at one point, there was a fire alarm, I think, during my set. So
In the middle of it.
I did some, and then and then Lauren said, "Well, I did some piano. Well, we've seen that. Do you have anything else? You know?" So I was literally doing stuff that I didn't even. I was just making up stuff at the end. I just started.
Oh, you were improvising.
No, I ran out of everything I thought I was going to do. So then I just said, well, sometimes I can talk like a British guy, so I just talked like this for a while. You know.
And they loved it.
I guess so. But you know what was interesting, seeing that and seeing some of these old timers, they're used to comedians looking really funny. I looked incredibly not like a comedian. And if I would bomb or something, they just didn't, that doesn't look like a comedian. It's like
It looks like just a young lad.
a young lad, Oh, is that the British thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had no jokes and didn't know where it's going. Or maybe I'm doing John Travolta. So.
Yeah, that's Travolta. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell it's Travolta.
I blacked out. When I tested on stage over there.
In 8H?
I blacked out. Yeah, I blacked out pretty hard. I was so excited to do it that when I tested, they tell you say your name and all that. Just an easy hi. I'm Andrew Santino, and I walked up there and I immediately went into a character because I just was so nervous.
You wanted to get to it?
I just wanted to I just didn't want to waste any time, and I didn't really. As a stand-up, I never had been in that world, so I didn't understand the rhythm and pacing of it. Stand-up, I knew very well, but so I just dove into characters, and luckily, it did great. And Lauren flew me back out, and I sat in his office, and he basically told me when I flew back out, I thought, well, I got the fucking show. Even my agents were like, "You got the show." Like, why would he fly you
back out?
But he flew me back out basically to say, no, because it's just you're not. I don't know if this is the right verbiage, but he said you're not the puzzle piece we're looking for. But he said you're going to be fine, and it was a nice vote of confidence from him. But I think because he was deliberating between I was 31, and
Same age,
and Pete Davidson was 19, whatever Pete
Yeah.
was when he joined. So it was me, Pete, Dan Soder, and one other comic, and I could just tell.
Wow.
But what? And I've given him credit. Without Lauren doesn't know
Yeah.
me anymore really, but I've given him so much credit on pods and everything, saying it was great because he was right that he wanted someone young. They were looking for somebody young, and I was 31, and I had kind of already done some stuff, so
Yeah.
he wanted someone that was a little bit more malleable. And I think it was the greatest pick ever. I mean, Pete was like the best choice he made. And I've known Pete since he was 16. And I was like, when I heard it was Pete, I thought, well, that makes perfect fucking sense. So when I sat in his office, he just wanted to talk to me about being from Chicago. Where are you from? You know, Chicago. And we talked sports and bubble. It's everything. And at the end, he was kind of like, you know, in so many words, like, you're going to be great.
So when you would get wounded, like say that, how were you just kind of bummed out for a week or a month? Or when I bombed at the Comedy Store after Kennison, I was pretty much really down for a couple months.
It hit me. The Lorne thing hit me in a way that I kind of, you know, being an Irish kid, it was like everything's pessimistic. Like, well, they're never going to give it to me anyway. So when you don't get it, you're like,
Well,
I told you.
Really?
Well,
Like,
I just-
guess part
it's-
of the Irish.
well,
Well,
it's
the
just-
Irish thing is like, well, can't complain.
Well, but it's also like, oh, we don't deserve it.
Can't
No,
complain.
it's not for
Yeah.
us anyway. We
Yeah.
don't deserve it.
Yeah.
So I just feel like we've always had this, like, my family, this is always like, you're lucky to be there type of vibe. So it's
Right.
always been like, well, I'm lucky to fucking be, I got here. This is great.
I had a conflicted thing too. I mean, I had like no confidence, very much had issues with people pleasing and wanting to be a nice guy. But I had a other hidden lane of being incredibly competitive,
Yeah, I'm super competitive.
but always played fair. But if I would see, when I saw Robin Williams levitate the room, the way I talk about killing,
Yeah.
I was like, I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I got to get much, much better.
Well, how were you guys?
Oh, we were friends.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, but the first night I did stand up, I was in Berkeley in a little coffee house. I just looked in the paper. It was unknown comics were going to play. I didn't even know it existed. I'd only seen Don Rickles or Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
But I had just left home. My dad was a monster. So I got out and I was free. So I went to the club, and then the third comic up, they first were kind of normal open micers, like 10 people in the audience.
Yeah.
And the third guy up was just like going, you know, like, whoa, holy shit, what is this? For those of you on acid, this is a Frisbee. You know, everything was deconstructed, and he was never really on mic, and he was booming and
Yeah.
peak Robin. And so then I thought, I didn't know it was Robin Williams. I thought, well, if there's a lot of these guys, maybe I'll be a carpet salesman.
I'm
Maybe this is not the best thing. But that's so then we were friends. You know, he would come, you got Mork and Mindy pretty quickly, and then he was up back and forth to San Francisco. Robin's coming in, you might have a spot, and then Robin does 2 hours. You know,
He would
stuff
come
like-
to 2 hours at the store.
Yeah.
Was
Or,
the sto-
or at the Holy City Zoo was the spot. There were no comedy clubs. The first comedy club official in that era was the Punchline in 79. So this was 77, 78, where I was just barely starting, still going to college, San Francisco State. And so he would come in as a movie star and stuff. And, you know, he would...
Was Punch in the same place that it is today?
yeah.
Same, like,
Yeah.
yeah, same spot.
So I lived there. Rented a house 10th and Cabrillo with my wife, my girlfriend at the time. And then we met Paula Poundstone and, you know, Bobcat Goldthwait. The Boston people came in. And Poundstone lived with us for a while, and she's brilliant.
Did she
and
pay rent?
We paid her rent because everyone wanted to help Paul in those days. you
Yeah.
know. She was so sweet. But you know, it was all surreal. And then Robin, over the years, then I had Insecure. I was doing these sitcoms. They all got canceled. Blue Thunder was a shit show. And then I would go and play this other cafe, 70-seater in Haight-Ashbury, where it was not hard liquor and the crowd was slightly sophisticated. So that's where I first started like doing a character,
Right.
you know, and improvising. You know, rather than the biker bars, you know, show us your dick. You know, like the blender. Yeah.
Ice.
Yeah, so
every
then
5
you just
minutes.
get loud and blue,
Right.
you know. So that was really, really useful. And Robin, when I got on SNL, about 8 months later, he called me. He goes, "Oh, I just wondered, you know, how are you doing? I mean, you seem to have so much confidence and so many new characters. Where did this come from? What happened to you? You know?" And then he asked me whether he should do. What was the movie with Peter Weir with the school kids? Not Good Will Hunting, because I keep thinking.
No,
of
no,
those
no.
guys.
What is it with Peter Weir and him and
Peter Weir, Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. Why can't I think of it?
I know it's. I'm glad that you can't, so I don't have to think it's early onset. Peter Weir.
Peter
is,
Weir.
That's
Weir.
Welker.
Peter Weir. Yeah. He's learning how to spell. He's a young guy. Dead
Yeah,
Poets.
boom.
Yeah. I
Dead
don't know
Poets
why I
Society.
couldn't think of that.
So he's asked me about that and this director and stuff. So, and then toward the end of his life, he moved up to Marin County, and I was still up there, and we used to play the Throckmorton, this little 300-seater there, a lot.
You two together.
Yeah. We'd go on. I'd go on. Sometimes we'd go on stage together with Mark Pitta and these other comedians, San Francisco people, and that became a really big thing. That's one of the best theaters in the country. And so with Robin, we started to hang out because it was almost like I was so intimidated by him, but he was so incredibly sweet. What a split personality. I mean, the most powerful guy on stage, but just would call me boss and, hey, boss, and just very sweet and deferential to me. You know? If I was doing a good set, he'd be in the wings like this.
Thumbing you up.
Oh, boss, it was a good set, good boss. So we became friends, and we started kind of hanging out and stuff. And then he went to L.A. to the sitcom.
Yeah.
And then
the rest is history.
Yeah, I just did not realize where that was at, and it wasn't because the sitcom got canceled. Lewy body dementia is the disease he got. He was in a hallucinatory state.
Yeah.
And he couldn't really perform anymore. But I keep his voicemails. Do you do that?
I keep people's. Oh yeah, of
When
course.
they've passed?
Sometimes when people pass, I call their phone.
Yeah.
That's a very weird thing I've done before, multiple times. But I'll call their phone before they disconnect it sometimes, just to let it ring a bunch in the hopes that, like, what if they picked up? I think about that sometimes.
It's funny when you see their name. A really good friend of mine died like 3 years ago, and he was a total Brooklyn guy, like Queens type guy, like
New
this.
York.
Real, like, first really close friend with that God rest his soul whenever he talked about his mother.
Yeah, God rest his soul.
And do the right thing.
Come on, Dana,
I
do the
don't
right
think I'm
thing.
Yeah.
Do the
so
right thing.
like I hear he gave me really simple, clean, advice. And so sometimes I'll just put his voice in my head. And
When you're thinking about stuff, he'll come into it.
What would Gary say?
What would Gary say?
I think what you got to do, is just take care of your family first. That's the thing you're going to remember in the end. It was all very simple, but coming from a guy who grew up so poor, that his dad would work. He'd leave at 4, go to Harlem, open a shoe store. His dad was a saint, so when Harlem burnt down, they kept Mr. Prince's store. No,
they left his store.
Don't touch his store. So his dad would come home. His mom would then go to work, and she would leave a sandwich on the stovetop, So sometimes I get home early, I'd eat the sandwich, My dad would go, wait, did mom leave a sandwich on the stovetop? I don't know, Dad, she must have forgot. And he goes, go around the corner, for a quarter or something, get me a sandwich. He goes, hey, Pops, got to get a sandwich too? So that way I get 2 sandwiches. Because he was really got big in high school, So, stories like that,
That resonates with you.
It is, it's that's people passing away is still the most surreal thing, obviously. that we
Well,
do. Let's make it heavy now.
No, it's you did. That's Spady does that too. That's funny. You guys both do that. Like
Hey.
whenever it gets real, he's like, all right, let's do it.
All right, buddy.
Throw in
Woo.
something else.
So some boozy Susie. So I was like,
Speaking of which, please, ladies and gentlemen, watch and listen and enjoy and indulge in their podcast. I will say it's Dana's podcast before David's podcast. That's just because I have to.
well,
do
it's
that
interesting.
too.
People go, why these guys? I go, but I knew him before SNL.
Yeah, before he
21 or
even got
something.
on.
Yeah. And so I knew him then, and then I knew him during SNL, and then we'd just see him here and there. And then when I moved back down to LA, then we were just going to.
You guys share a similar. Your rhythm of comedy is great together. It is. It just works. It works very well.
Well, it's the same thing with you and Bobby Lee. I don't know when you knew that or what decided to put you two together.
The internet did. Honestly, we met.
Because the internet goes crazy. They,
Well,
they go crazy. They see
they're
that
crazy
he's
together.
teasing each other. And
like
the
I make
people
fun
are-
of him. They like I make fun. I will say Chinese. He's he's not. He's Korean.
He's doing politically incorrect things, but the person, everybody's laughing, and so the tension is released in the room. And then you look at the views, and you monetize, and you have a big Hummer, but electrified, because climate change. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's true. The internet did it. They did it. We would do each other's podcasts over the years, and people were like, "Why the fuck don't you guys do?" Because we were always good friends, but now
You guys are just so. I mean, I think the first clip I saw of you, I think you had a gun you were waving around.
Yeah, a gun. Yeah, we had a gun
and
in like
then
the first
Bobby
one.
Lee is really either he's just not acting or he's just a really good actor. Hey, dude, fuck it. Hey, put the gun
Yeah.
down.
Well,
Like, that was.
I brought in an airsoft gun.
Oh, okay. That
and-
was hysterical.
And of course, it was like him getting a hold of it. I mean, it was like a great scene in a movie where it's like,
Oh, it was.
he will shoot me. He was like, he will 100% shoot me. I was like, please, God, don't pull the trigger. Because he's the kind of guy that shoots you for the comedy. That he's like,
Right.
it was a bit. And we'll be in the hospital. It was a bit. It was a bit. It's in my
Right.
fucking neck. I mean, we just share a lot of those.
Well, you guys play teasing straight, like hyper real acting.
Yeah.
So you're almost playing with the audience for a second.
Yeah.
Because no, seriously, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's too much. What? I didn't know. So you're
Yeah.
doing these little like dramatic scenes.
Yeah.
And then when the tension's released, it's like,
It's
you know.
it's cathartic for everybody.
yeah. So that's unique, I think, about what you guys are doing.
Well, it's not as good as your show with Spady. Everyone should watch it. It means
Hey,
a lot to
seriously,
me.
It's not a joke. I
No.
I
I mean it.
serious
No, I
right
really
now,
mean
no.
it. Please watch it.
It was about time you promoted the podcast. Oh, I can't. See, I can't. It's so hard to not smile. I thought you'd hit it up front, I'll be honest with you.
We will. You know what? I'll hit it in the intro read. How about that?
It's fine. I come here. I come here and want to promote the podcast. And I get canceled like 9 times.
Hey, make sure we cut up all the
That-
clips that he does something that's maybe cancelable and put it out to the
That's
world.
Mark Pitta, a friend of mine. He's the best at the cracking voice. You ever seen Mark Pitta? the stand-up?
Canceled?
He's
Yeah.
the best guy who's like talking. We used to do a bit where he's like, I throw to him, and at the zoo today is correspondent Mark Pitta. Yeah, there was a panda that gave birth to a baby panda. He's good at the crack.
Right.
So it's really that thing that people do when they
Baby
when they
panda.
when they get emotional when you're trying to fight it back. Always try to fight it back. So let's see. Your talent bandwidth is okay. So you can act. You can
A little bit,
You
yeah.
can be in a movie and
A
be
little
a
bit.
straight actor.
Yeah,
You can do impressions and characters. So
Yeah.
You could be that guy.
I could.
Have you done animation?
I do a voice right now on a cartoon. Yeah, it's called
See?
Royal Crackers.
Okay. You've got a huge podcast. I love when people say that because no one ever says it's not like there's Nielsen ratings or something.
Yeah. Well, our numbers are visible.
Well, what do you mean?
They're visible.
Oh, yeah.
You could see it.
I could see it, but it's not in the newspapers or nothing. I mean, it's
No,
not.
no, but
I
in the
got to dig on.
Yeah, but it's on the TikTok.
So let me, without giving away the numbers, or did they go by views or downloads as far as what do your advertisers like the most? Downloads or views?
Combined. Yeah, you get them combined. The views and the downloads. It's one of the. Our audio is almost as big on Bad Friends as our video, and sometimes on this show the audio is way bigger than the video.
So you get both.
Yeah, you combine them both.
So Spade and I. Now,
But you guys are under the umbrella of a corporation, no? Somebody.
Cadence 13.
Yeah, somebody owns you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we're-
we own it.
Oh, it's you guys.
Sorry.
Oh, bad boys.
Well, the contract's coming up.
You don't get to own me. I own me.
First, identify the suitors. You are a suitor. Oops, there's other suitors. Don't fight too hard. See, I could just live in that guy's voice.
I like that guy.
I could just spend time with that guy.
My live-in guy would be a southern guy of some
Can I hear that again before we?
Well, it's either a guttural deep dude like that. My dad's friend would say, Andrew, I bet you $1,000 you can't do 100 push-ups. He'd say that. He'd say shit like that all the time.
Completely accurate.
Here you go, $1,000 you couldn't do 100 push-ups. And I'll say this too. If y'all can throw a baseball 75 miles an hour, we'll go to the cages. And if y'all do that, I'll take y'all for ice cream. I mean, he everything with this guy, my dad's friend, was a sport. It was always a competition. He was the most competitive guy. If you did anything, and if I was 9 years old,
Yeah.
you go, how many times can you make that shot? I go, 5. I'd make 5 in a row. Here you go. All right, $100 says you can't do 5 in a row. He'll be out here in the sunshine all day, burning up. His little orange ass will be burning up, not make 5 in a row from there.
So is this part of your stand-up?
No.
You're
no.
not doing this in your stand-up?
No, I use that when I audition. The characters I get scared of it, and I don't know
I
why.
think that could kill in stand-up.
But
I know what you mean. If they're used to jokes and punchlines, and then you just have to find a little
like
couple
Melissa
laugh points.
Villaseñor
Yeah.
does a great job kind of interweaving the two worlds. And I've always told her I loved how she was able to she'll do bits and then also jokes and then also characters doing bits, which
Yeah.
she knows how to blend them in a way where I was always like, that's the best way to do it on
Yeah.
stage. It depends, but
know.
it's personality based.
Well, one thing I've used recently, now all other comedians can use it. I've just started because I just thought as a couching of character or an impression, you say that you're doing a tortured phone call with Comcast or something, and I just stay in Regis, and the person is either from another country, or they don't know. Honest to God, I couldn't find the password or whatever, you know. So if you just say, sometimes I knew this coach, and sometimes I'm on with, you know,
Right.
AT&T,
And bleed
and you
into it.
just stay in that character.
can-
It's like saying you're doing a prank, sharing a prank phone call, you know, whether you do it or not.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I did a part in Tina Fey cartoon called Mulligan.
Oh yeah.
So I just basically looked at Daniel Craig in Knives Out and sort of took that guy, that Southern guy. Mr. President, we're going to have a problem with all this here unless we get a hold of it. It just stays down here.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's accurate, but it's just down.
But it is because that's a guy.
It's a guy, and just go like that. I just think we should get rid of people that aren't white. I mean, I play this kind of the world has ended, and I'm this
racist, yeah.
this horrible person, you know.
Well, they're darker than us, and that is scary.
This is a God-fearing Christian nation, and I fear for its very survival if we let things of that nature creep in, elements outside a Christian purview. So it was fun to do that part.
By the way, I like that more than the one that he did. How about that?
Well, probably I took it further. I mean, by the
Yeah.
end it was, and then I was doing
Because it gets
him-
wacky. It's hilarious when that guy gets into that. Like,
And I do a woman character where I just contract my ab. Well, I don't know what you all are fixing to do. A really clueless woman.
Yeah.
I probably got it from somewhere, but it definitely is an ab workout.
yeah, you have to squeeze.
Yeah, well, I don't know how you get people to sit in this chair so long. Your back's hurting over time, and the whiskey hits you and you get dehydrated. Why do they? You know. So anyway, it's just fun. I do them for myself sometimes.
Yeah, but will you do me a favor at some point? Will you take my phone number? Will you
do?
just call me and leave me a voicemail of you just doing voices? If you start thinking of something and you're like, man, I want to run this character out loud, just send it to me,
Yeah.
please.
Well, when I did with Steve Martin and Martin Short, they're really good friends with Dennis Miller. So I did. Steve Martin said, "Will you call me later and talk to me as Dennis Miller?" Okay, whiskey ginger. All right, that's a nice motif. All right. Alcohol's all the rage these days with, you know, the Reynolds kid and the gin thing he's got going on. This is a toddling town. Okay, I guess the school's out for summer and you put up camp in here. All right, so whatever. I don't know. Okay, get the inebriation going. But anyway, yeah, I will call you and
Please.
we'll run into each other. I peeked in the improv because I was a couple comedians past you the other night when I did a warm-up set.
Oh, really?
I peeked in, yeah.
How did I do?
Crushing.
Was it good?
You're crushing.
Oh, Dana. This means the world to me.
I would just say you were very just relaxed up there.
I've learned to be the most comfortable version of myself. I actually think, to answer your question from before, when you said, how did the SNL thing hurt me?
Yeah.
Or what did it feel?
Yeah.
It made me a much better comedian. And I have learned, I
that's-
genuinely think
Yeah.
after that,
Yes.
I felt kind of, I don't know, empowered. I was like, fuck it,
Totally.
I got there. That's crazy. I'm good.
Yes.
And I almost felt like when Lauren was like, you're going to be fine, I think he meant it. Like, I
Oh,
really
no,
believed.
he wouldn't bring you out unless he thought you were talented enough. He was going to hear about you.
But when he said that, it made me
know.
feel like, oh, shit, I guess I am okay. I guess the comedy
Yeah.
is okay. And it was comforting in a weird way. The rejection was, and everyone was like, fuck that. You feel like, are you bummed out? Like, all my friends thought I was really bummed about it. And it was, yeah. But I was also like, yeah, but I guess this is just a tick on my box of like, that's amazing I got to do it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a sketch or an improv guy anyway. So all my sketch and improv friends, I was like, well, they're the ones that are fist fighting for it every day.
Yeah.
I wanted to just be in the world so bad.
Yeah.
Because I was in love with it my whole life. But it you know, I think it helped. I think it was exactly what made me the comic stand-up I am today, being way more comfortable. It made me
Yeah.
go, oh, fuck it, we're fine. I write enough, I work enough, it'll come together on its own.
Yeah. I think for everybody, if kids are watching this, hey, that Garth guy was on there. Yeah, just don't let show business eat you alive. Don't hang out too much with bitter comedians and
Don't.
dive into that. You know, comedians are in a circle after the show and they're just ripping some huge.
You know who sucks?
You know who
Yeah.
sucks? And then there's a pause and someone says, so anyway, you know. That's the end after
Yeah.
10 minutes of trashing some huge comedian.
Yeah, they go, can I
And
get-
it's
can
not
I get a
even-
ride?
It's just been done before, man. It's so fucking annoying. I mean, he can't even. So anyway, in the next one, but don't get in and just look at your feet. The only thing you control is just try to put out a good product. Get better. Just be better.
Just be better.
Better at any age, doing anything. Just be better. Victimhood is the number one disease that makes you, and bitterness makes you unable to be successful. And people are attracted to positive people.
Hell yeah.
I just like to give lessons in there.
I like
case
it.
there's like a
Well, you know what's so funny?
college kid who just watched Wayne's World.
We end
And
the show.
I'm-
We end the show this way. So this is a good way. We end the show the same way. One word or one phrase. Usually, it used to be a word years ago, and then some people wanted to say something powerful or a phrase. So you look into that camera. You
Yeah.
say one word or one phrase. We'll end the episode on this. So whatever your statement is, this is going to close the show. Whenever you're ready.
What it has to be different from what I just said is the idea.
Yeah, I want it to be. I want it to be one word or one phrase. To leave something for the kids.
Right. The only thing you can control in your life is yourself. Look at your feet and just get better every day.
In here, we pour whisk, 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 whisk.
You're that creature in the ginger beard.
Sturdy and ginger.
Like vampires, the ginger gene is a curse.
Gingers are beautiful.
You owe me $5 for the whiskey and $75 for the horse.
Gingers? Oh, hell no.
This whiskey is excellent.
Ginger. I like gingers.